lead heads. Welcome back to the Talking Lead podcast. This is episode 235, and we are rolling in March. We are roaring in March. Isn't that how March roars in, right? Roars in like a lion?
It does for me, because I just picked up a sweet bobber yesterday.
What'd you pick up?
An S&S bobber, custom build, a Harley.
I see a helmet back there. So I was getting ready to ask you.
It roars. I've had that helmet. That's from my other bike.
Well, let me go ahead and introduce our guest this week. We've got none other than Chad Enos with Kel-Tec. Welcome in, Chad.
Hello, everybody.
And then we've got a newbie to the show. He's actually not a newbie, but you haven't heard him yet. So we met at SHOT Show. We've got Chuck LaRue with LaRue Carbon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in, Chuck.
Sure. Thanks for having me again, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so we had some.
I was on the show. Okay.
Yeah, you were, but we had some ID10T technical issues from yours truly, and I accidentally deleted our interview that we had at SHOT Show. So we're going to have Chuck on and give him a redo. Yeah. But, I mean, you may not want to be on this episode because we're going to get into some sticky stuff that we don't normally address on the Talking Lead podcast. Before we get into that, make sure you guys go back to last week's episode 234, where our guest was, we had Mike Sodini, president of Eagle Imports, talking about all the cool new things that they've got coming in from their broad line of guns that they bring into from other countries, which, God bless them.
Double stack 2011 will be mine. It will be mine.
You got your eyes on that.
Love that thing.
We might be able to work out some trades on something along those lines. And then we also had Jeremy from Freedom Munitions, which that was continuing our 2018 SHOT Show coverage from the official lead quarters of the 2018 SHOT Show, Kel-Tec. So, Chad, thank you guys again for hosting us at SHOT Show this year.
Of course.
We had a great time.
We're going to do it again.
We are, definitely. That was a very good time. That was our best SHOT Show to date. That was our 5th. I know you've been to probably like 30 or 40, so we're still
not that old.
We're still considerably newbies to the SHOT Show scene. And then we also had Brady Speth from Ron of USA, the official optics of Talking Lead, during the 2018 SHOT Show. Brady came on and was talking about their new line of optics that they're going to be releasing, their Gen 2s, and one of those being the 1-8 that they've got. And it's going to have a tactical version and a hunting version. So go back, episode 234, check out those interviews, and then we're going to continue our coverage in this episode of the 2018 SHOT Show. Chad bombing us with the photos here on Skype. And that's going to be Jim Erwin and the Huntress. We're going to be talking some hunting.
The Huntress Divine.
Huntress Divine, and then Ryker USA, and they've got that fist grip. It's a side-mounted grip that goes on your rifles. I think they've got different versions. They've got key mod adapters and things like that. So we're going to talk about that as well. And Chad's showing his Harley pics. Somebody's got something new when they're photobombing you with their new stuff. So
I'm wearing pants.
It's a rough life that guy lives, man.
I'm telling you.
Hey,
if only we could be Chad.
I about broke my kidneys off riding to work this morning.
So, guys, welcome in. We're going to talk politics. And we don't talk politics on this show often. And when we do, it's not in great detail. But with everything that's going on in our country since the Florida shootings, and Chad being from Florida, he's right there in the thick of it. And I just think it needs to be addressed. There's so much misinformation that's being put out there, and there's so many people that are wanting things done just for the namesake of having something done. That's the worst thing that we could do. So we're going to talk. We're going to give our opinions.
Otherwise known as knee-jerk reactions.
Knee-jerk reactions, exactly. Just appeasing somebody just to appease them. And we want to talk a little bit about that and some of the things that are being proposed and what you guys need to do and how you can make your voices heard and try to get some of this stuff cooled down. Is that the word? Simmer down a little bit, get it under control. But before we do that,
it's impossible to have a conversation. And liberals say this all the time. We need to have a conversation about gun control. We can't have a conversation with you if you're not going to listen.
If you're going to shout me down every time I say a word.
You're just going to keep repeating the same talking points, liberal talking points. We're never going to get anywhere on it.
And you're going to shout down the people that you're trying to have the conversation with.
Yeah. If you want to be educated, you have to listen.
You do. And a big thanks to all the sponsors of Talking Lead before we get into this. Right On USA, the official optics of Talking Lead. X Steel Targets.
X Steel Targets.
X Steel Targets, the AR-500 steel targets that you need to be putting on your range. Made in the USA. Check them out at xsteeltargets.com. Modern Spartan systems for all your oil, lubricating, and cleaning needs. Don't just clean your guns, optimize them with Modern Spartan systems. VanQuest, makers of awesome backpacks and carry bags. I've got several of those racked up during Christmas during their Black Friday sale, and they've got some new stuff coming out. Check them out at vanquest.com. Glock, the official carry of Left Hand of Talking Lead. Rocking my new G19X.
Nice.
Showing the boys here.
So jealous.
In Glock FDE, and I got my
I got something for
Enforce.
I got something for that right about there. Yeah.
I see that. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what Chuck does. And he does have something that everyone needs for their firearms. Indeed they do. High threat concealment. You just saw my Glock 19. They're making that awesome holster that I've got there for it. Kydex holster with the Enforce light. They make all kinds of kit and gear for your firearms, your magazines, all your carry needs. Check them out at highthreatconcealment.com. And, of course, Kel-Tec, the official sponsors of Talking Lead during the 2018 SHOT Show, the Lead Quarters. Kel-Tec, check them out, KelTecWeapons.com.
Yay.
Hey, 1776, the official swag of Talking Lead. We've got our new T-shirts, and we've got our patches. The Leadhead Brigade patches are out. So you guys go to 1776united.com. Check those out. And then our good buddies over at Asymmetric Technologies, making our travel possible to all these cool events that we go to, like SHOT Show, like the upcoming NRA, and Big 3 East, asymmetrictechnologies.com. I think I got everybody right there. So guys, whoa, what's that I hear? I hear the Jackwagon Train rolling in, Chad. The Gunny has beat us to it. So I think that the Jackwagon Train is going to tie in nicely to what we're going to talk about, our conversation today. So, Gunny, roll that train in.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the Talking Lead Jackwagon of the Week, so brace yourself, baby.
You heard that a few times, huh?
All right, so the train has stationed, and the Gunny is chomping at the bits for us to throw some of these people on. So I'm going to kick it off, guys. I'll start the pace, and I'm going to start it off with, and I made a post on this, none other than Chipper Jones, former Atlanta Braves baseball player, and apparently he's got a TV show now on the outdoor channels. MLB Major League Bow Hunter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Never seen it.
It's sad because I enjoy that program.
Right. So he came out publicly, made a statement that he's not for civilians owning AR-15s or any firearms similar to those. He admitted that he owns 5 firearms himself: a hunting rifle, shotgun, and I think he may have said he had a handgun or two. He didn't specify what those were, but made it perfectly clear that he is against civilians owning AR-15 rifles, AK-47s, and that they have no business owning them. So we're throwing Chipper Jones, and I'm going to throw the Outdoor Channel on there too because they haven't addressed this yet. I think they are responsible for the talent that they have, that they put on their shows. They claim to be 2A supporters, and they're at all the events that we attend. So I'm throwing Chipper Jones. I'm throwing the Outdoor Channel on there until they address this as well for making those comments. So he basically said that if you can't hunt without a rifle, then you're basically a sissy. So he's saying, bow hunting is the only way to hunt. It's the true natural way to hunt.
It's exactly the time and place for that little argument.
Right, with him using a 21st century compound bow.
I want to know if he's against suppressors too, because bows are really, really quiet, and you can kill a lot of people with them.
Well, you can.
Yeah.
And
That's it's like cutting funding for a high school freaking sports program and the basketball team fighting with the football team about which one's better. Like we're kind of all in the same group, guys.
Yeah, we're all athletes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I made a post on my Facebook page, and it's gotten a lot of attention and a lot of comments. And I'll just read some of those. There's no reason for baseball players to make millions of dollars either. So turn your money over to the homeless.
Valid point.
Who is Chipper Jones, and why should I care what he thinks? Well, he's got a following. There are a lot of people that follow and listen and respect his opinion. So that's why you should care, because he can influence people. And then we get this one guy on here. I want to address this. There's this guy from Canada. Is he from Canada? No, he's from Britain. So again,
it doesn't matter.
This is another thing. Is why do Britons feel the need? Europeans feel the need to comment and try to dictate how our country is run and laws that are here. It has nothing to do with them. Why are they inputting their 2 cents to begin with? So I'm throwing this guy on the Jackwagon Train too. His name's Daniel Foster. And you guys go to my Facebook page, go to the post where I put Chipper Jones, and just blast this guy. And I've got several of you lead heads on there right now that are just giving him hell. This one guy says, ex-British soldier, how's all that gun control working out in the UK? And before you go on a rant, unless you're a citizen of the U.S., all your arguments are irrelevant. If you happen to be a citizen and are using your experience of gun control from the UK, no one wants to hear it. This is a right given to American citizens to the beloved Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, period.
And that's exactly what separates us from Britain, and that's why the United States is here in the first place.
Well, that's why we have the Second Amendment.
Right.
That's why we have America, is we revolted against British rule, British dictatorship.
Yeah. History is a bitch for these people. It really is tough for them to understand, apparently.
It really is.
They look at how many people are trying to essentially erase history by taking down monuments and this, that, and the other thing. That's not changing anything. It all happened.
It is. Actually, it is changing something. It ain't for the better. And you know exactly why now. If they can erase our history, they can rewrite it. If they can rewrite it, they can rewrite it the way they want it to be.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do.
British rule. It's
just people. It's exhausting for me to hear how offensive everything is to everybody else. Like I sometimes I laugh, other times I curse, other times I'm just like scratch my head and like, wow.
But that, and that's the thing too, is you hear all this and you hear it from the mainstream media, and they make it appear that this is the majority of our country's beliefs and thoughts.
Which is, I just had this conversation yesterday. Go back and, if you can stomach it, go back and watch Obama's speeches. And if it's an agenda, if it's part of the liberal agenda, which almost every time he opens his mouth, that's what you hear.
Yeah.
The first words out of his mouth are the majority of Americans.
Yes.
He says the majority of Americans. And anytime you hear a liberal speak, the majority of Americans want this. How do you know? How do you know what the majority of Americans want?
Right.
We voted in we voted in Trump. I won't call him conservative, but we voted in Trump. That's what America wanted, and we wanted him because we wanted him. He's the only choice we had to hopefully protect our rights, our Second Amendment, our Constitution, and everything else. The other choice was going to absolutely annihilate that stuff. So the majority of Americans want freedom, and they said it in the voting box.
Right. They want the freedom to choose, freedom of expression, and the freedom that our Constitution grants us. We want that. And that's what the majority of Americans want. And then you get these people that are on their agendas and their bandwagons to have our rights taken and stripped from us. And you look at the people like this guy from the UK. I mean, he has no dog in the hunt whatsoever. But you get those types that are the squeaky wheels. You know, they're trolls on social media. Obviously, I mean, this guy's just a troll. He's a plant.
That's a big thing. I think. My personal opinion is some of that comes down to the fact that there's, for lack of a better word, there's a little bit of jealousy there. I mean, we have so much more freedoms as far as just let's stay in the parameters of our conversation in the two-way scope. We can go out and we can get these things, and we don't have to be a member of a shooting club in order to go fire your weapon. So I think on some level, I'm not saying it's fully jealousy, but there's a bit of jealousy there that we have so much more that we can do with it than they're allowed to. They have their shotgun clubs and hunting clubs and some shooting clubs and stuff. And, I've been to a couple shows over there. And
I've had several European guys on the show that do enjoy the small freedoms that they do have up there. So you guys can go back to some of our past episodes and listen to some of the guys that we've had on talk about it. And I mean, it's really sad once you think about everything that we're allowed here in America. And to lose that, I mean, just go back and listen to these guys. I mean, they will tell you, fight tooth and nail, to the death to keep these freedoms that you have. Because once they're gone, you can't get them back.
They ain't coming back ever.
Ever. They won't come
back. It's a slippery slope, man. And as soon as you start in this conversation, you take guns away, then what's next? Everything's on the table then.
Yeah. So Chipper Jones, Wal-Mart, and Dick's, they've jumped on the bandwagon. They're raising their store policy, even though it's completely legal still in this country. And, God willing, it stays that way. 18 years you got to be to buy the ammo. You got to buy the guns. Dick's, I mean, I can't say enough shit about Dick's. I'm going to cuss there because they've been on my shit list since Sandy Hook. And, they jumped on the bandwagon and they pulled the black rifles from their stores. But wait a minute. Now they're coming back and saying, well, we didn't pull them from all our stores. We've got this other company under a different name. Was it Field and Stream or something like that?
Yeah.
Where we've continued to sell them. What hypocrites. Hypocrites. They went and said we're going to pull them because we don't believe in this. It's wrong. Blah, 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 but yet we're making money over here in this store still selling them. Hypocrites. Now they're saying they're going to pull them from those.
Here's my thought on that. They can do whatever they want. It's their business.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
And in America, you have every right to do that. It doesn't mean you're right. It doesn't mean you're right on that particular topic, but you're just hurting yourself.
Well, and that's the thing.
I don't ruin your own sales, and then what grows out of that is all the smaller, maybe some of the smaller mom and pop or some of the medium-sized corporations. They open up their doors to supporting the Second Amendment, and guess what? We all start shopping there.
Exactly, and I'm all for that. And don't get me wrong. I mean, Dick's it's a free country. If they want to run their business that way, that's fine. As far as
the messaging goes, they're
the message that they've tried to send from the beginning since Sandy Hook has been completely hypocritical and wrong.
Essentially, it's a marketing ploy. Though all you're doing is you're standing out there and saying, "Hey, look at all you people that are now suddenly have a voice. Hey, we're taking this ethical stand. We're here.
And they're
stupid
because they're catering to a minority,
right?
A very small minority.
Right. But I would say that Dick's sales are probably really hurting. And they've probably been hurting since Sandy Hook. So they've seen an opportunity here, just like the liberal media, the liberal politicians. You can't waste a good tragedy, and that's their mentality. Right. That's their philosophy. Walmart doesn't need the publicity, so Walmart's Walmart, and they can do whatever the hell they want to do.
Walmart's hurting. They're hurting bad. I
don't see how they could be hurting. They own everything.
Amazon's crushing Walmart. I got a buddy that works at Sam's Club. He's a manager at Sam's Club. Dude, they just closed 6 of them locally here.
Really?
They're hurting bad. Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah. They need to feel the sting. So maybe that's a ploy for them too to get the bleeding heart liberals more business from them. I don't know. I heard something maybe Kroger doesn't sell ammo. What's Kroger jumping on this for? I don't understand.
All sorts of people are jumping out and saying stuff. Yeah. But, and here's the other thing, too. As stuff passes, it comes and goes, until the next tragedy happens. Yeah. It'll smooth off and everyone will forget about it again. That's just the way it works.
But
unfortunately.
Therein lies the problem. I mean,
yeah.
You come in, a tragedy like this happens, you come in, and like you said earlier, it's a knee-jerk reaction. It's putting a Band-Aid over a situation. Hey, we're going to take away bump stocks. We're going to take away AR platforms. We're going to take away this, that, and the other thing. And then when something else happens, it's like, oh, we're coming after this. You don't ever address the root of the problem. You're never going to fix it.
Yep.
So here's what. So that's a jackwagon. You guys have any more jackwagons before we go any further with the
we could go
the jackwagon train just ties into this week's conversation. So that's why it's been so long on the jackwagon train here. But if you guys have anybody else you want to throw on, let's do it before the Gunny. I'm going to get the Gunny out of here, and then we're going to go on and talk more about this.
Yeah, don't be a Dick's.
don't shop at Dick's. Yeah, shop at Dick's if you want to. I mean, I don't care. I'm not giving them my business. And I haven't given them my business since Sandy Hook. I don't support the mentality. I don't support what they supposedly are about. So there's other places I can go and get my sneakers and my jogging pants.
Their stuff's overpriced anyway, like way overpriced.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know. I hadn't been there since Sandy Hook.
Well,
so.
Like Chad said, every corporation. This is America, man. Like every corporation, you guys can sell what you want, do what you want, and everything else. But man, don't expect to make a stance like this at a time of sheer panic across the board, and say that you're making an ethical stand, and then turn around and find out a couple years later that you really didn't make that ethical stand. So
Well, so here's the thing. It's all a dog and pony show, like you said, because if you wanted to stop selling ARs in your store or semi-autos or whatever, then stop doing it. You don't have to make an announcement about it. You don't have to go out in public and talk about how you're doing this for the children and this, that, and the other. That's just, like you said, it's just another BS marketing ploy. That's all it is. All you have to do is just pull them off the shelves, send them back. When your customers come in, say, sorry, we don't sell ARs anymore.
And if you feel that strongly about it, take all the guns. Quit selling guns, period.
That's right.
Don't sell shotguns. Don't sell hunting guns. Don't sell.
Expand your golf shop. Yep.
Go into business with Chipper Jones, and you guys could probably start your own line of Chipper Jones hats, and you can sell those Chipper Jones jerseys, and you could sell those as tampons. Yeah. So get that train out of here, Gunny. We're gonna move on with our conversation here. So before we go any further, we want to find out more about Chuck LaRue and LaRue Carbon. Give us a little bit about your background, Chuck.
Make custom carbon fiber protective cases. The line is called the Carbon Box line. I have 4 different styles. Going to have a couple big announcements coming up here in a little while about some other things we're working on.
So you guys are making carbon fiber gun cases.
Yes,
well,
sir.
not specifically gun. I mean, you could put anything in your cases, but I mean, obviously you're tailoring them to the firearms.
I got clients that put all sorts of scientific equipment in them just because they're tired of the cases that they're using. Not necessarily breaking, but there's not a lot of shock absorption in the cases that they were using, and they found that using my case, it doesn't break their instruments like the other ones did when people inevitably drop them. So, make an entire line. Visit the website, LaRueCarbon.com, and then, of course, social media.
So what's your background? What's your background, Chuck?
So I worked at a research and development firm in right after I got out of the service, and I kind of learned it was in the composites industry, and I kind of learned everything that I've learned about composites there. And we kind of fell into a project where we were helping out with with another company that was designing a brand new weapon platform. Okay. And I kind of got put in a pretty significant role into that just because I had experience with weapons and everything else. And that kind of opened my eyes to how can I marry these two industries that I really enjoy. And, eventually, I came up with an idea for a protective case, and, we weren't a manufacturing facility per se. So needless to say, my my boss at the time kind of just politely said, "Nah, we're good." And I said, "Cool,
I'll run with it."
And then I started nickel and diamond, and man, finally got enough put away that I could start really researching this whole process and getting all the kinks out of it, and that took a while as well. So we're relatively young as far as the public knows. Project has been in the works for about 5 years. Really working hard on it, so it's not just overnight. But
you
yeah,
made your debut at SHOT Show this year, right? At the Antares Alliance Try and Buy event.
Yeah, picked up a couple of mentions, and then also obviously went on your podcast there, and then did a couple other spots, and it was fun, man. Like it was crazy that after all of that work of being like, man, am I insane for chasing this dream down? Is anybody else gonna get it? Because in my mind it's amazing, and then to have just anybody be like, that is amazing, is just like the best reassurance you could ever get. So
yeah, I mean, you're definitely onto something. Again, it's innovation in this industry. I don't know that I've ever seen a carbon fiber case before. Anybody put anything like that out? I mean, one probably just for the cost alone, people just
There's been a couple. I want to say late '90s, mid to late '90s, I think. Samsonite or someone like that came out with their version of a carbon fiber like briefcase almost.
Yeah.
And it was the technology for the composites has come so far, as well as the price has gone down so much, and it's readily available. So, a lot of people are like, "Oh, the carbon fiber craze!" Like everybody's into it, blah 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 blah. Well, it's just now it's to the point where it's more realistic for me. And then you have a handful of companies in the industry actually making a bunch of carbon fiber parts for weapons that, man, they're killing it. They're killing it. So it's exciting for me to be on this end and just be like, look, I make something that is completely different. It's not the same case. It's not, it's not anything other than the fact that.
So talk about your case versus a Pelican case, for instance. What benefit am I getting through the carbon fiber that I'm not getting through these high polymer plastic cases?
It comes down to weight. I can do a lot more, and it can be a lot stronger and a lot lighter because I use so much less material than they do, and they have a dense product. They make an amazing product. I mean,
and I'm telling you, that comes in. When I picked up his case, I was amazed because I've got one that's smaller than the double case that you had,
right?
But it weighs at least 4 times more.
At
least 4 times more than that case, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
If I only had $1 for every time somebody did that at the show, like,
and people who travel, I mean, if you take your gun case through an airport, and that extra weight that you're having to pay for, and just lug around, I mean, it's
well, not just that, but so for like I was telling you at the show, for competitive shooters, sometimes we end up in pretty remote areas. Where there's not a Wal-Mart exactly close to go buy ammo. So we can actually pack our case with that much more ammo.
Yeah.
So,
and you're not shopping at Wal-Mart anymore.
Right. Wherever. Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of nice that because you're allowed to have 11 pounds is the general rule for most of the airlines. And so we don't even normally carry anywhere close to 11 pounds because we're already either at or overweight. Right. So with that case, we can have our entire rig in there and probably take the full 11 pounds of ammo, which is a lot of ammo. So it's great. It helps us out a lot.
So I'd say that is my number one benefit over the big companies, like the big existing guys that dominate the market. But I think even above that is the fact that not everybody's so quote unquote tactical these days, man. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, everybody's tactical this, tactical that. That's cool. Like, that's fine. Man, I don't want my case to look like it can withstand nuclear fallout, man. If I have,
I was going to say, can we talk about how your cases look? Because they're sick. They're freaking awesome.
So,
like, I want you to make a bunch of stuff for me, like a fender for my bike.
So, Chad, did we say Chad Chad's got a new bike. Did we tell you? Chad's got a new motorcycle.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. We all know, but no. So it's just I went with a different design.
Yeah, the hinges too. Talk about the hinges.
So these are
low profile.
Tough
as nails.
I'm pretty much the first small company that is authorized to use these, and that's it, man. Like that's all there is on your hinge. So it is.
Yeah. So he's showing for you guys at home who can't see us. I'll be posting pictures on Talking Lead's website. You can go there, and I'll have pictures of his cases.
There's nothing snaggable about these cases, which is the biggest thing that tears a case apart when you're traveling.
Right, they're rounded.
Just toss it around.
So he's got everything rounded, so that the corners, the edges are rounded. They're not pointy, and then everything is flush. It's in with the case. So like Chad said, it's not going to be snagging on other things. And then you've got your latches. Talk about your latches.
Yeah, so my latches are locking latches, and I did that because, it's a pain. It was a pain to always have to, come up with my own lock and everything else. Like I always seem to have an issue with it, so I wanted everything to be incorporated into the case, and I wanted to have just badass, like just the lines on it. I wanted everything to be smooth. I wanted it to I really took the inspiration from like the 1960s, 50s, 60s aluminum briefcases.
They look like those Aerostream.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. Kind of a little campers. Retro, but obviously with the latest technology built into it. So, man, I'm super proud of it. I love it.
You should be. What are those latches made of, Chuck?
Because the closing latches.
Yeah,
they're machined from billet aluminum.
Yeah, they look very durable.
They are.
They're not plastic like you get on a lot of the gun cases. The little plastic snap things.
Billet latches. Like.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Tough as nails, but easy to operate.
Well, and I just wanted to because I want to make something that I'm not the cheapest on the spectrum by any way, shape, or form. However, I am not going to just take your money and run. I want to give you a fantastic product that
you get what you pay for.
And I have no problems letting everybody know that I stand behind my product. And if there's an issue, we'll take care of it. I ran across one of my customers.
And by issue, he means nuclear war. Because the only thing that's going to destroy that thing.
Well, one of my customers from a couple months ago, contacted me actually the day after I did your podcast, and had noticed that there was some deficiencies in the actual carbon itself that I don't, things happen like and
vendor issues.
Yeah, so it was just a little pitting. So I just said, hey, you know what? I'll replace them, man. Like I'll just give you new ones. My goal has always been to provide the best customer service that I possibly could, and I think that's kind of
based on the story that you told me the other day. I mean, Chuck will go to any length to make sure that you are happy, even fly to Korea to personally and deliver a product to you.
that was it. Well, okay. Full disclosure, people.
We don't have to talk about that story, but I mean, I personally can attest to his.
Yes, I did. The rumors are true. I did jump on a plane, fly 13, 14 hours to Korea. Was on the ground for about 12 hours and then flew 13 or 14 hours back because there was a massive deadline I needed to reach, and it was Murphy's Law on that whole project, man. It was what could go wrong.
But you handled it well, man. You handled it really good, and it's going to come back, and you're going to reap from it. So
and
kudos on doing that. So LaRue Carbon.
Yeah, LaRue Carbon, WWW, obviously. I don't even know if you say that anymore.
Nah.
I guess I'm old because I still say WWW. No, LaRueCarbon.com, and then all social media is just at LaRue Carbon. So
there you go. And you guys just recently joined the Alliance, so welcome to Antier's Alliance.
Thank you. Yeah, we were accepted. I got my
Right
we
after
got
SHOT Show.
exception. I think the week after SHOT Show, we were notified that.
Yeah.
I'm just super pumped about.
And just to reiterate, I mean, you just highly went through and said after your service, you are a veteran, so thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah,
And
I was.
We're going to get in to talk about that a little bit later in the show because we're going to hit you with the new guy questions. So
okay.
Prepare yourself.
Okay.
So I think we should get into talking about some of these proposals that are out there right now for more gun control, and what this means to you as a Second Amendment proponent and firearms owner.
My deal comes down to this: is there is not a gun issue in the United States. There's not a gun issue in the world. There's a people issue. We do not treat people with respect. We do not have the same morals. We don't have the same
values, discipline.
Absolutely, like across the board, it is such a it's nothing is personalized anymore. Like, you know, you have conversations via text. You don't need to learn how to have a conversation with a person anymore. Like, you know, everything's just right there. But I also think we not only have an issue with mental health in this country, but I think we have an issue with the stigma attached to mental health and the fact that, you know, everybody wants to be so damn politically correct and not hurt anybody's feelings and everything else that you're setting yourself up for failure because the real world doesn't give a shit. Pardon my language. They don't give a shit if your feelings are hurt or not. And some of that, I believe, attributes to the overall scope of the problem, which is you have kids or, you know, even young adults that play these super violent video games that you desensitize yourself. You know, you're walking through, I don't know, storming the beaches in Normandy on a video game. You're shooting people. Like, you're desensitized to it. And then you get this romantic, I won't say romantic. You get this version in your head that this is what's going to happen because somebody bullied me or some teacher kicked me out of class or this is how I'm going to do this. When I say that you could take all the guns away, you're never going to fix the problem because you're not servicing the problem. How many gun control measures have been enacted since Columbine in 97, 98, something like that? As opposed to what kind of mental health.
But that's the thing is you look, and since, you know, the beginning of gun legislation, firearm issues back in the 50s, you know, on up to now, more and more and more gun laws have been put in place, but yet we see that they're not curing anything. They're not solving any problems because they're not being enforced. Well, and they're put in for people who abide by laws. They're put in for law-abiding citizens.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's, you know how I think it was the Black Rifle guys. I think they did a little, you know, they do their little funny skits, their little videos on social media, and they did one about, I think their home was being robbed or something like that, and he
That's Matt Best, yeah,
and he comes out and says, you know, you can't use those because those guns are illegal, and then they pull out different weapons, and it goes all the way down to the end where they finally have compliant weapons, which are all muskets, and then the girl comes in the corner and points at the sign that says this is a gun-free zone, and then they just walk out. They're not going to rob them anymore. Like, yeah, that's literally like what people think. Like, people thought that there was like a debate going on about that, whether people actually thought that or not, and it got people fired up because there's a hint to truth to it. Like, you think that just because you outlaw certain things, that everybody's going to do it, and that's not the case. The reactions that are happening from these events are only affecting law-abiding citizens.
Laws are put in place to punish people who break them. That's the only reason laws are put into place. Yep. Now, who do they hurt? They hurt law-abiding citizens for the most part because they're the ones who aren't going to break them. But the only reason that laws are put in, it's just like I'm a real estate, I do real estate. And our contract when I first got into real estate was like 2 pages. Now it's 9 pages because of all the additional disclosures and documents that we had to put in because people said that, well, I didn't really understand it in this, so they kept adding them. The same thing with laws. People keep breaking them, so they keep adding additional laws on top of laws, but it doesn't solve anything because the people who are going to break them are still going to break them. So you have to have the punishment, the discipline in place to back them up to make people not want to break those laws.
You know what keeps people from breaking the law? Prisons.
Prisons?
Those guys aren't breaking laws.
They are in prison. They still break them in prison. They're still selling drugs and
they still murder each other and stuff. This is true.
Well, time out. How can that be if drugs are illegal? I mean, come on. Like, doesn't that kind of prove the point of the conversation? Drugs are murdering people is illegal. People still do it all the time.
So,
they do it stabbing and choking.
So what does it boil down to? So it gets back to my original question: is why are we at where we're at with the youth of today? And I say the youth. I mean, I'm 47, so I'm a pretty old. It boils down to what have you seen more and more? Have you seen more and more broken families? You've seen more and more single mothers, children that are raised without the disciplinary figure in their lives, that is there to teach and guide and say, this is wrong and you don't do this, and if you do this, then you've got me to answer to. I think I had that growing up, and I understand the respect. And
I don't know. There's some parts of that, like I
think it's the missing of the fathers in today's society, the father figure. Now, I'm not saying that a single mom can't effectively raise it. They can. They do it every day. But
I think there's
that element
to that. Like, I honestly think that there's validity to that. I think actually today it's obviously more accepted socially that, you're a single parent, whereas, in my parents' generation, like
but that's irrelevant whether it's accepted or not. It's still the fact that these children aren't getting that discipline from a childhood.
No, okay, yes.
And the discipline's been taken out of schools too. You can't discipline kids in schools. You can't discipline in your house. You can't. So, why wouldn't they think that I can't just take this and go out and do whatever the hell I want to with this gun or with this car or with these drugs or, if there's no consequences?
Absolutely. I completely agree. It's just, like I said, I think it goes back to a people problem, man. Like, we don't.
And that's the problem. There's not a person there to teach and guide from an early age.
I mean, I'm guilty of this too. When was the last time you ever had a cookout with your neighbors or anything like that? Like there's no sense of community. Everybody, dude, This is all we got right here, man. You're in touch with anybody around the world at any time. Like, you don't need to have that personal. So there's not that personal. There's not that emotional connection when you see somebody or
Sure.
I think
it's like they're not real. It's like they don't exist. They're not real. I can't touch. I can't feel it. It's not real.
Yeah. So I don't know. Chad, I'm spinning my wheels. What do you got, buddy?
But then you got a mixture of mental issues as well. Yeah, Chad, jump in.
Okay, so I can read to you exactly why everything is going the way that it is.
Going to hell? You quoting somebody, or is this your own?
No, I'm going to quote. I'm going to quote something out of the Bible for you, actually.
Okay, going old school.
Yeah, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to him, meaning through creation. His invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world. Skip down. So that's the world getting God out of schools. Mm-hmm. That's the world trying to get God off of our money. That's the world trying to get God out of government buildings, out of our government entirely. Mm-hmm. Separation of church and state was not to protect the state. It was to protect the church. So, okay, skipping down here in Romans, still this is Romans 1. For this reason, God gave them up to dishonorable passions. And it goes on, talks about homosexuality, women giving up their natural relations for those of the contrary of God. Men, same thing. Going down here, and it says, and since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them up to a debased mind, to what ought not to be done. They are filled with all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness, malice. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, maliciousness. They are gossips, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, haughty, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents, foolish, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Though they know God's righteousness decree that those who practice such things deserve to die, they not only do them, but give approval to those who participate in them. So this is talking about exactly why the world is the way it is right now. You turn your back on God, God pulls his grace away, and he just lets men do what men are going to do. Mm-hmm. And this is what evil hearts do to each other.
Right.
So the only reason that there's any, and this is my belief, the only reason that there's any sort of law and order and control, and the reason God created government and law enforcement and things to keep that order that he created was for the safety of his people. Now, when you start kicking that to the curb, you're calling for the murder of law enforcement officers. You're calling for the ban of an average person, the ability to protect themselves. You're running off and doing every sin known to man. I mean, think about what kids are doing these days. They're so stupid now and dishonoring God so much that they're eating Tide Pods. They're ruining their bodies. They're just kids. And this isn't something new, but it is something that keeps getting worse and worse as the world progresses. And that's it. In Romans 1, it's completely laid out right there, all of it. You want to know why that kid murdered all those people? You want to know why Columbine happened? You want to know why 9/11 happened? You want to know why things are being bombed and people are being killed? You can read it all right there. That's exactly why. It tells you. This book was written 2,000 years ago. This part of this book was written 2,000 years ago.
And what was that book? That book is, I mean, what is that book? It's not was, it is. That book is a guide. It's
right.
Laws. It's laws to live by, which we have. But if people don't follow those laws, don't abide by those laws,
you're going to reap the consequences. And that happens not just individually, but it also happens as a community, as a state, as a country, and as a world. It all comes down to the individual person. And when you get large groups of people that are like-minded in their sin, this is what you get.
Yeah. And that's same thing with our laws. They're there to help guide, protect, and if people don't follow them, then what the problem is the consequences aren't there. There's threats of consequences, but they're not following through with those consequences. So these laws have to be enforced, and they have to have the consequences associated with them.
Yeah, it says they were filled with all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness, malice. I mean, think about this. Think about break it down to an athlete that scores a touchdown, or has the winning hoop, or it has the winning shot at knocks one over the fence at a baseball game. What's the first thing you see these guys do, man? They're pounding their chest. They're doing the dance. They're pointing at their name on their back.
Yeah. A lot of them are pointing up to. Some of them point up to God.
That's right. You're absolutely right. And I love that. And I love when they do that. But my favorite football player of all time was Steve Largent. You guys probably have no idea who Steve Largent is.
Oh yeah, Steve. Wasn't he a senator or something for a while, or?
I think so.
I think he went politics, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that guy, and I use him as an example all the time because he was just the most humble guy. He held almost every NFL receiver record for years, and nobody ever knew who he was because he never danced in the end zone. He never, he didn't go out and get sponsorships from every single company that's out there and promote himself all the time. He scored the touchdown, did his job, gave the ball back to the ref, went back to the huddle, and went back to work. Yeah. That was it, And it reminds me a lot of military guys and stuff too. They go do their job, and you try to thank them for their job, and they're just like, I'm just for their service, and they're like, it was my job, And there's a humility there, and that's attractive to me. That's what should be attracting kids, not these guys pointing their name on their back and beating their chests and talking about getting their respect and all this other crap. That right there is not a role model. That's not what kids need to be looking up to. This really selfish mentality, and it's just unfortunate that our world has gone to that. And it's unfortunate that our kids are being taught that believe in yourself and all this other kind of stuff. And at the same time, our history is being stripped away in schools. They're not being taught what's proper and what's true. The truth is completely out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And all that stuff, I mean, really kind of started with case law. We could get into that, but you start with case law in the 1920s, and they just wanted to start rewriting history. The liberals did, and we're living in it now. We're seeing the result of all that stuff that's going on for the last 100 some odd years. It's all come to a head, and it's all come to a head, really.
So what do we do?
With our youth.
What do we do? How do we?
So people keep saying they want to progress, and that's why the progressives call themselves progressives. My question is, what are you progressing to? What are you getting? People don't even know which freaking bathroom to use anymore. What are you progressing to? We don't need to progress. We need to go back. We need to go back to the Constitution and back to the beginning of why this country was founded in the first place. And the funny thing is, I find that a lot of liberals, they want exactly the same thing that I want, as far as like the freedom. They want to be free. They think that somehow the government's going to make them free. That's where they cross that line. They start going the wrong way. A lot of them want to be left alone. To do whatever they want to do. That's why they keep having parades for their rights and all this other stuff. It's already there in the Constitution. Pay attention. Go back to the Constitution. Go back to what the founders were trying to give us. You guys are trying to go forward to something that's of your own mind. It's of your own heart, and it doesn't make any sense. It makes sense in a communist country, but not here in America.
They're trying to get more government involved, which is the opposite of what our forefathers and the Constitution,
the founding.
They wanted less government.
A small group of people. We have 300 million people in the U.S., and you want to give all the power to a small group of people to supposedly take care of you and tell you what
make all your decisions. Yeah.
And yet you're the same people that wear the anarchy badges and you run around and you have parades and you play in punk rock bands and stuff. Like, it makes zero sense to me. They have no idea what they're talking about. Their foolish hearts are darkened. They don't even know any better. No. They can't know any better.
They don't know they're being hypocritical.
Right. A lot of them.
It's ignorance.
I hold these people accountable that are in leadership,
and
that are in our government that were placed there.
How do we keep them from being so ignorant? That's the question. How do we educate these people?
Talking lead.
How do we get the word out there? Well, it's people who listen to the show is they have to, when you come across these people, you can't just bow down to their shouting you down. You can't quit when they shout you down. You can't just walk away. I mean, some of these conversations that I have with people, they're so ignorant that it just makes me mad, and I just have to walk away. But I have to be.
Sometimes you do, but here's the thing.
I have to be patient, though. That's my fault.
Okay, I'll go back to the Bible again, because this is where I draw everything from. So there's a parable of the farmer, and it talks about the farmer getting up in the morning and going out and laboring all day from sun up to sundown. He digs the rows, he plants the seeds, and then what does he do? He goes to bed. He comes in, he goes to bed, and you're like, well, what kind of a parable is that? What does that mean? You know what I mean? There's nothing he can do about the crops. He can't make the crops go. All he can do is plant them and water them and take care of them.
Right.
But it's God that gives the increase. So
but you've got to go out and you've got to battle the heat and you've got to battle the elements to get that field planted. And that's what I'm saying. When these people are, they're your elements, they're your barriers, your stop. When they're out there shouting all this ignorant, all these lies, all this misinformation, you have to battle through that and you have to keep those seeds planted. You can't. Like I do sometimes. Right. I walk away because some people are just so ignorant. It's like, this guy doesn't even understand what he's talking about.
Here's the thing, man. At the end of the day, that's all you can do is walk away, because no matter how the conversation ends, you're still going to walk away.
Yeah.
But it's not up to you to give any sort of increase. You can't make someone think a certain way. It's got to come from, in my opinion, it comes from God. Their mind and their hearts just suddenly opened, and they have nothing to do with it, and you have nothing to do with it.
So one thing that we can do is that if you've got a friend, a family member, someone that you care about. Let's start off with somebody that you care about first. That is ignorant to gun laws and just guns in general, and they're afraid of guns and they think they're bad. Invite them out to go shoot with you. Invite them to the range. Invite them to a safe environment.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think
invite them to a 3-gun competition.
There you go.
One of the things that
works, by the way. That's proven to work.
Yes.
By the way.
I agree. I think one of the things that's spiraling out of control, and especially since this last election. I mean, it's always been there, but I think this last election really just completely just spun it out, was the need for everybody to feel like they need to pick sides or choose a team. And then once you choose that team, you're on that team, and it doesn't matter what the other team says. Yeah. They're the other team. You're never going to have open dialogue to bridge those gaps, because you got one side going this way, the other side going this way, and they're not getting any closer, and no one wants to give up any ground because they're on that team.
If you're not for me, you're against me kind of mentality. And that's the whole problem with our political system as it is now, is that there are two parties.
If I could say, I completely disagree with that 100%, because
please,
where we are now, this isn't my grandfather's Democratic Party. It's just not.
No.
It's not the Kennedy party anymore. This now is a hardline issue. There's a difference between right and wrong, and there is nothing in the middle. So when I hear these politicians talk about reaching across the aisle to get stuff done, it's a bunch of bull crap. Because what that means is somebody's compromising their beliefs. And every single time that happens, it's someone that's a conservative compromising their beliefs for someone that's a liberal that wants something ridiculous passed. Like gendered bathroom crap. Like, it's wrong. It's just wrong. And if you're going to give up right for something that's kind of right or something it's all wrong. So those lines have been divided, and that's why there is an aisle. So if you stand with what's right, then stand with what's right. Don't start compromising, and that's why we are where we are right now.
But do you think that the Republicans are always right?
Not always right.
Okay. Do you think the Democrats are always wrong?
Are the ones that were started out as good men, God-fearing men that wanted to stick to the Constitution that compromised the wrong way.
Well, I think power greed gets everybody at some point on that level. I mean, they have an insatiable appetite for all this power, and then
happens all the time.
But I think that's what's wrong with our politics is that there's two parties, there's two sides. You're divisive right off the bat. You're divisive, and that's wrong.
There's nothing wrong with things being divided. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I keep hearing people, well, we need to come together. We're not going to come together. I am not going to give up my rights because your feelings are hurt. That is never going to happen.
But I don't agree 100% with everything Republicans say, and I don't agree 100% with everything the Democrats say. So,
well, then that's a third divide. That's just another divide.
But that's what I'm saying. There's only two options in our political society.
No, there's not. There's more options, but the other ones are just not. They're not.
Well, they're not
valuable.
They're not at the level of the two sides. I'm not necessarily speaking on the level of politician A versus politician B. I might have given you that opinion when I first made that statement. I'm talking more of just us as people. Like, you can't have a conversation. I mean, you look on, dude, social media, man, that is the greatest thing, and it's probably the worst thing that has ever happened to humanity. Like,
it's the worst thing that's happened to me, I'll tell you that.
But you can't have normal conversations because people pick these sides, and it doesn't matter. Like, there are sides that I'm very conservative on, but then I shock some people, and I have I have some more, I won't say liberal views, but I understand how people come to certain conclusions. Mm-hmm. And my politicians.
Here's the thing. I understand. I agree with you. There's a lot of things that are wrong that I understand, but they're still wrong, and I still can't go do that. Like, I understand why people drink themselves to death. I understand why people do drugs because they're depressed. I've been depressed. I get it. But I'm not going to go down that road, and I don't approve of going down that road.
No.
So there's an example for you there.
But we're never going to get anywhere unless we do make some I'm not saying compromise your beliefs, but you have to have open dialogues with the other side, because we are in this team mindset of it's us versus them, and then it just here's how the open dialogue should go. You've got a liberal talking to a conservative. Obviously, the conservative's right. Almost, I wouldn't even say almost. I'd say 100% of the times, someone that is a true constitutional conservative American is going to be right if they've got their facts together. A liberal is going to talk to you not on facts. They're going to talk to you on emotions. And again, I get it. I understand you're super upset about a bunch of kids being killed. I'm upset too. Just because I own a firearm and stand up for the Second Amendment doesn't mean I don't care if 11 kids get mowed down at a school. In fact, the exact opposite. And they say, well, something needs to be done. And I say, I agree with you. Something does need to be done. Exactly.
You're proposing something that's wrong. You're wrong about your approach to this. And how do I know you're wrong? Because it's been proven. If it was right, I would be all for it. But it's
Right.
not right. It's wrong.
Well, that's why I said, multiple times, you're not getting back to the root of the
But when you
issue.
say
The root of
facts,
the issue-
Chad, when you say facts, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Chuck.
Yeah, go.
People are spouting out all these different statistics. Statistics aren't facts, in my opinion. Okay, so I want people to understand that facts and statistics are two different things. Statistics can be used to make facts, but statistics aren't always facts. Statistics can be manipulated.
Statistics are used to complete an argument. They're not
Right.
Yeah,
So don't get confused when you hear the statistics are this and the statistics are that. The statistics show this. Don't get distracted by that. Well, you want to look at facts. You want to look at history. You want to look at case studies. Case studies are where facts come into play.
And you also want to use your common sense.
Yeah.
Well,
So when you and I say we need to protect our schools the same way we protect our banks and put armed guards at our schools, they freak out. We can't have more guns at school. It's a knee-jerk emotional reaction, and you got to say to yourself,
because they're
where does
fixated
that
on
not make sense.
They're
to you?
fixated on the gun. I mean, anytime you say
right.
gun, it throws up a negative red flag image, and because they're fixated on the gun. They're not fixated on what that can potentially, the good that can potentially do. Now, let's talk about this. I don't want to cut this conversation because this is great, but I got to steer the conversation. I'm the host, so there are proposed measures in place on how schools can be protected. One is arming teachers. That's out there. That's put out there. Putting other individuals there to protect and arm the school. There's a school in Indiana. I want to point this out. I can't remember where the school is right now, but there's a school in Indiana that they put in a system, and I guess it's an active shooter system that they put in their school. It's $400,000. Okay, that they implemented this in. And basically what it does is it's a warning system. So an active shooter comes in, the alarms go off, the rooms are locked down, the shooter can't get in there, and then there's this spray system that comes out of the ceiling and there's cameras everywhere. They're monitoring, they can see where the guy is, see where he's at, and they can hit these different security measures. And this spray comes out and it like obstructs his vision. So smoke, and it cuts off his vision to go down certain paths. So the only way out is he can see is to get out of the building, because that's what they ultimately want, is to get him out of the building. So they're basically guiding him on how to get out of the building. But people say $400,000 to implement this, or it's going to cost this much to secure this school, or it's going to be cost prohibitive. Well, how much is your child's life worth? You're the one saying
honestly,
this, but no, listen to me. So, they're saying it's cost prohibitive. We can't possibly do this. But if you look at the money that it would take to ban, confiscate, and the time associated with doing that, which it would take decades to confiscate all the firearms that are in America, and talk about the billions of dollars that would cost. This is something that can be done right now, immediately. These systems, similar systems like this, can be put into schools and be effective immediately. Next week,
sure,
they can go ahead and start putting these in place.
Let's not forget about all the ridiculous and insane crap the government spends money on. As research. They call it research. They'll spend $700,000 to find out what the difference is in males and females getting drunk in a bar.
So how many kids were killed in this Florida shooting? 17?
17, yeah.
So you take $400,000 divided by 17. That's $23,529. You can't tell me that any one of those parents wouldn't pay that right now to have their children back.
Of course.
And this would have been a very viable solution on stopping, preventing, minimizing what happened in that school.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you add someone who can defend the children with firepower.
You're going to need that, because there's got to
have that.
Just like in your house, you have different levels of protection. I don't know why schools have zero protection. Most schools have absolutely zero protection for their students. And shocker, that's where all the shootings happen.
Yeah.
Well, Air
Well,
Force
school,
used to be the same
gun-free
way.
zones is where they happen.
I think it comes down to the whole back to the whole fact that there's a lot of people out there that think that our children can't see this and they shouldn't be subjected to seeing that, and this I guess they call it the helicopter parenting, where you keep your kid in a little bubble and nothing bad ever happens. Dude, I'm guilty of some of that when it comes to my 2-year-old. However, I have no problem, and I no problem at my daughter's school to have, at her daycare, have somebody there that knows what they're doing, and even if it's the teacher with
the key to that, Chuck, is somebody who knows what they're doing. So another problem I think that the gun grabbers, I call them the liberals, don't understand is that when we say arm a teacher, arm a principal, it's not just give them a gun and say, here you go. These people have to go through not only strenuous training and pass courses and get certified, but there also needs to be something in place, a psychological background check, an in-depth psychological background check on these people to make sure that, they're psychologically prepared to handle it.
Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of those teachers would fail that part of it.
And that's fine. And that's good. That's because you don't want them all.
Well, I know. I was kind of just being cheeky.
And if that's the case, then there are millions of Americans, and I've seen this post too, former law enforcement, former military guys that will donate their time and come and sit at that school.
Screw that. Let's pay them.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean, but we've already got people volunteering to do it.
So there's a lot of people that have no kids, right? And that are
I'm one of those
kids in the school system, right?
I'm one of those.
And you're still paying property taxes.
Yeah.
Right? So I wouldn't mind paying property taxes if that money was going towards a guy that just came home, or he's a veteran that's out of work, somebody that we can pay $20 an hour to go take care of the security at the schools. Hire 3 of those guys. Put my tax money towards that.
Sure.
Right.
Instead of wasting it.
Nope, absolutely. No, I go to I go to quite a good amount of different countries, and the first thing you always notice is armed to the teeth, whether it's police or military or whatever it is, just roaming around the streets, and everyday life. And people, you get parents that are like, oh, I don't want my kid to have to see that every day. Well, things like in Israel, man, like they have armed military everywhere you go.
In Israel, it's mandatory that every citizen serve in the military, yep. And they do, unless there's some sort of mental or handicap, thing.
Right. So,
men, women, everybody.
It's all about perception, man. Like, yeah, I don't want to have to take my daughter somewhere where she has to see an armed security guard. However, she goes with me to the bank.
I do. I would love to see that. I would love for kids to see that.
You see that, then they know they're safe.
Well, not only that, but
I'm speaking at it from the other side's point of view.
Like we shouldn't have to do that. I know. Yeah.
However, those are the same parents that go out and get on Amazon or go stand in line on Black Friday and buy them the brand new shoot 'em up game for their PlayStation or whatever it is, and those kids sit in there for hours and hours and hours on end, all night, all day, just shooting people in group forums and everything else, and talking all this junk to everybody. They're the same. It's all the same. So, like, I don't see the correlation and why you wouldn't. Like, you don't have a problem going to the airport. You don't have a problem going to banks. You don't have a problem, seeing these guys, armed and protecting you. Why would it be any different?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, being a concealed carry guy, being a guy that trains, I'm sure you being, ex-military, and I know, you know how to handle firearm like nobody's business. I feel less safe when I see law enforcement because I've trained those guys.
Yeah.
And when I go there, I just feel like it's kind of like when it's like really difficult to let someone else drive your car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sit in the passenger seat. It's like, I'm not in control, and I hate being disarmed like that because I know my abilities and I know my heart, and I know that if something were to go down, I'd want to be on top of that.
If I'm at a mall, if I'm at a mall and there's a shooting breaks out and there's a law enforcement next to me, and he doesn't have a gun, I'm not going to give him my gun.
Right.
I'm going to
exactly.
control my gun and drive my gun myself. And
Yeah. No,
That's right.
Couldn't agree more.
yeah, but there are people out there that may or may not feel that way. But that's the thing. If you get a firearm and you're not doing the training, you're not doing the education for yourself, then you don't need a firearm.
Well,
Okay, even if you're just going to keep one in your house for self, but you still need to know how to operate it, how to handle a confrontation.
I'll take it further. You need to know ballistics. You need to know what the ammunition that's in that gun, how it performs when it comes out of that muzzle, and what it's going to do. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it comes down.
And none of this stuff's hard, by the way. This isn't hard. And for anybody listening that maybe hasn't gotten any training, there's nothing. I mean, you get a little nervous or whatever, and it's somewhat intimidating, but when you get there, it empowers you, and you start to love it. And like we went back to talking about taking, an anti-gun or a liberal to the range.
Sure.
You take almost every single time I've ever done that, which
it changes their mind. Yeah.
It's just complete, not just about guns, but their whole worldview has changed. It's great.
They see it as they don't see there's a stigma attached to weapons and guns in general that are they are killing machines. But that killing machine it's an inanimate object. It doesn't do anything but sit there until somebody drives that weapon. Someone has to do it.
Yeah. So, again, it boils down to the problem, like you said earlier, Chuck. It's not the guns, it's the people.
Yeah.
So everything's full circle here. So great conversation, guys. We've got to get into our 2018 SHOT Show coverage, but I want you guys to hang on because we're going to hit Chuck with the new guy questions when we come back. So, guys, enjoy our interviews with Jim Erwin and the Huntress. What Huntress Divine is that?
Huntress Divine.
Huntress Divine and Ryker USA. Hit that button.
There you go. Yeah, we did a whole session yesterday without recording it.
It was like one of the best ever.
It was the best one ever. Yeah.
It didn't get recorded
until now, of course. Right?
Yeah. Until this.
Yeah.
Let me turn Zach off here. There we go.
I still got Zach Brown in my hands. Do you?
I just turned it off.
Oh.
Yeah. Piping in the good tunes here.
Is it too loud for you guys?
Okay. No, feel good.
Okay. I'm going to leave one ear open and one ear right there. All right, guys. Welcome back to day 2 of the 2018 SHOT Show. That's my pre-workout.
Okay.
My little go-go juice I got here.
You just had the RDBS in your hands. I just had to ask.
I just got to have a little kickstart in the mornings. But so, yeah, we're here at the Kel-Tec booth, the official lead quarters for the 2018 SHOT Show. And our first guest of day 2 are the guys from Ryker. And we're doing live also. So as we're talking, we got a live crew. So if you guys want to grab your product there and show it to the... We Facebook or Instagram Live?
Facebook.
There you go, guys.
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live.
The Ryker grip, for those of you who can see it, the first side-mounted grip system.
Get on that mic, too, while you're talking.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Don't be scared.
Yeah. You can hear yourself in the headphones, so you'll know.
Oh, yeah. Well, I like,
see that?
I like long things being right up in my face, I guess.
Long black things? There you go.
So
this is not a PG show.
Not a kid show.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, I hope not. If not, I just broke all
we
the rules,
recommend
right?
you hide the kids and lock the doors. So, yeah, so introduce yourself, Josh.
Yeah, all right. So I'm Josh Robertson. I'm CEO of Ryker. I'm here with Ron Holmes, who's the original inventor of the Ryker grip, and he's also our director of product development. So
Ron Holmes?
Yes, sir.
Any relations?
Yeah, we're just going to keep going. Hey, the AVN Awards are here. Let's just keep the...
Right, I didn't know this is dual-purpose
rolling,
tax write-off or what, man?
I
have an alter ego.
Earmuffs.
Yeah, so Ron's the original inventor of the Ryker grip. So those of you who don't know what the Ryker grip is, it's the first side-mounted grip system. And what it is it's a tool that supports your natural body position when you shoot. Squares you the target, helps you absorb recoil. And because of that, you get less fatigue, especially if you're shooting a heavy recoil weapon or you're wearing full body armor. And over time, that lessening of fatigue adds up to increased speed, increased accuracy. So,
sure.
Especially the things police, law enforcement, if you're in a long engagement, you're wearing a bunch of kit, you're tired, that's all going to add up. That little
Talk
bit
about
extra
the
mechanical
ergonomics of the Ryker grip.
Yeah, so the Ryker grip, it lets your body move the way it's supposed to, right? You think about how an example I love to use is we don't use weaver stance anymore, really, when we shoot a pistol, right? We talk about isosceles. You want to square up. What the Ryker grip does is the exact same thing. It's the equivalent of isosceles for your rifle, right? So you offset that forward hand a little bit. And what it does is it just squares you the target. Your head falls to a natural position. You get a little more space in your shoulders. Your hips square up to the target. And that gives you a lot of mechanical advantages, right? Just letting your body move the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
It's got to have a rail. Keep talking.
We don't have
We're trying to find a Kel-Tec we can slap it on.
You got M-lock?
Yeah.
This will just pop right in.
Oh,
There you go.
Sweet.
Well,
So the background of the Ryker grip,
You are a Marine,
for
aren't you?
those of you who
Come
don't
on.
know it, is Ron's actually a former Marine, so he was a Force Recon guy, was around for the founding of MARSOC, and then was one of the first operators in there, and then went and did work overseas after that. And the origin of it is just having shoulder problems, right? So, a lot of us, we get older, which I hate to include myself in that category now, but I am.
Me too.
You get your shoulders messed up. Ron's had his rebuilt a couple times. You start wearing body armor, right? And now you have to collapse down on that body armor. You're impinging nerves. You're cutting off blood flow. So Ron starts finding, hey, I'm using a weapon that I have to depend on for my life, and when I use it, I start to get tingling fingers. So that was the origin. We're trying to solve that problem. And what we discovered is
Ron's got I'm sorry to cut you off.
go ahead.
He's got a sub 2000 right now with the M-lock, and he's got a quick attach system.
Yeah, so that's not us.
This is awesome.
This is Connect. I don't know if you guys have seen this thing.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't.
It's pretty neat. You just push it in and it just pops.
Goes right in the M-lock system.
It's a little loose, so that looseness isn't the grip. That's the M-lock to the rail. But
Okay.
you guys get the count.
Yeah. It gives you shows you how it works. Yeah.
Can you guys see this at home? Over there? At home? Wherever you're at?
So this is the only thing we had here in the booth to give an example of how to mount that.
So you see how it just fits right in the palm.
And then it puts your hand and arm on the same plane as it is like when you shoot a pistol, like we were saying. We recommend at a minimum, especially for very tall, long arm guys, at least 3 inches behind the muzzle. We like to call them shaved,
I'm not in that
shaved
category.
apes. That hashtag shaved ape.
If you got anything for hobbits.
But just bring it in closer. But what we recommend is a slight bend in the elbow, because it allows you to open up your shoulders and present that square body position to the target.
Right.
We've heard a lot of things like, oh, it's going to pull me off center and everything like that. And what we found is experienced shooters, 30 rounds, 1 mag, you got the concept. 2 mags, it's not coming off your gun.
Yeah.
And
when I first met you guys and I shot it for the first time, I was kind of like, what am I doing? What do I do with my hands? What do I do with my hands?
Yep.
But like you said, after I put a couple of mags through it, man, I mean, it caught on, it clicked, and yeah.
Yeah. So we've now adopted.
You catch on quick.
Through our training, through the company, we have now started our Ryker training. I've been doing training forever now. We're just putting it under the Ryker umbrella, and we started last week with our first official Ryker grip basic carbine course. And in the course, so that 7-hour day, 500 rounds, 550 rounds were fired. By the end of the day, it was watching the guys who hadn't shot it yet. I had 8 students. End of the day, they were like, it was so organic to them that
Like
when
they've
they
been
were
using
even
it all their life, huh?
when they were resting, they were sitting there like in the low ready. Hand was just naturally, it was just sitting
going
right
right
in
to
there.
it.
And that's one of the
Nice.
things that we've heard a lot from a lot of the law enforcement guys, the SRT guys that are running this. When they put it up, the one thing that they said is, man, we'll sit on a door for 2 hours waiting for the warrant. And they said, this right here, standing here like this, like, man, I could stand here all day like this. This is just, I just want it because it's comfortable.
Right.
So, we found, heck, we got to give a shout out to our girl, Alpha Addie, 9-year-old in Texas competitive shooter. She's our first sponsored shooter.
Alpha Annie?
Alpha Addie.
Addie, okay.
Yes,
Nice.
Alpha Addie. Check her out. She's awesome. Her and her little sister Tristan, they train hardcore, dry fire. When it's snowing, they're in the house doing reloads and everything. Took 60 seconds off her time.
Wow,
All she did was
that
add.
is huge.
All she did was add the grip because the AR-22 platform is just really big for her, and this just opened it up for her.
And how old is she?
That's
9.
half a match.
And for a 9-year-old, that's not
No,
It fits her hand good?
it actually fits her hand a lot better. And you can see she, and her parents, they help her out. Obviously,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
grammatically, but yeah, man. So, but we've got a whole bunch of SRT guys that are liking it a lot. We've got a few guys that have hit us up and said waiting on clearance, but the grip helped us get 200 million of heroin off the street last night.
Nice.
Very
So
cool.
we're like,
I don't think it was quite 200 million.
I thought it was
200
million.
million?
2 million.
2 kilos.
2
2
kilos.
kilos.
2
2
kilos.
kilos. Yeah, that's what it was.
There was a 2.
I like the 200
Yeah.
million better. Let's get that.
Enough to get you real high.
And
Yeah.
then we've currently got it with it's in all like the top tier special operations. They're running their demos through it and they're testing it out right
So
now.
are you doing different size on this for people who have like big old biscuit shovels?
So
Yeah.
we,
I would say so. We have a whole product line. This is going to expand out. It's a new category, right? You got your vertical foregrips, you got your angle foregrips, now you got your Riker grips. So just like you have a bunch of
Side-mounted
vertical
grips.
foregrips, we're going to have a bunch of different Riker grips.
Yeah,
Okay.
In the future, we
Yeah, I
want
see where you're
to
going with
go
this.
to a backplate system, kind of like you get the Glock uses, so you can expand out or shrink down to fit your hand.
I would
a
just
little
like
more
to point
specifically.
out, at some point, vertical grips were super weird.
Yep.
Nobody wanted one of those. And then I'd like to point out that angled forward grips were even more weird when they came out. Nobody wanted one of those. But look at the industry now.
Yep.
So
Real-
you see something like
real
this, you're like,
hand
oh, that's
guards
weird.
were-
Well, I tell you what, every other grip has always been weird.
Yeah.
So,
Anything new, people don't like
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
well, the thing that, and we knew we were going to get. Well, we didn't know we were going to get as much prison rape and hate when we launched, but we knew we were going to get some pushback, and that's why we went the extra step. Is so many times we've all bought accessories because it's new.
Yeah.
But we tried to back ours up. We got a team of doctors that helped us develop this. We've got a test that was verified by some PhD statisticians that helped us measure speed and accuracy are improved with the grip, and it's a 96-round course of fire. 20 people that ran through that, various backgrounds, special operations, cops, 3 gunners, and absolute beginners. 12% increase in speed at 20 random people that went through this test.
all while maintaining health, bone structure health, and
Yeah.
ligament health, and all that stuff.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
more natural position.
Yeah. So the end state is to get
No, go ahead.
integrated electronics. So the other thing that we get all the time is like, oh, what about my leg? What about this? So the easy fix right now, we've got a couple on our Instagram. There's a couple
Light
pictures.
switches and things.
Yeah, so there's a couple options. Like right now we're doing is guys, we're Velcroing on top, Velcroing your pressure pads right here. So you can just go back and forth.
So this thing's kind of hollow, isn't it?
It
It's
is,
really
yep.
lightweight. So
Yeah.
you got real estate in
3.25.
there to like cut holes.
Yep.
and-
Oh yeah.
Yep.
There's
Do
room for
mounts.
stuff. Yeah.
So we're going to have
Yeah.
integrated electronics, and you'll have your buttons up here, light laser, and then eventually Bluetooth push-to-talk comms.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, nice.
Yeah, one of the things that's awesome about this is, because it is so different, it's like as soon as you kind of break that mental barrier for people, they start thinking about stuff, right? Like, what else can I do with it? So, I mean, we've got, some fans who really, like, if you go on YouTube videos, we'll have videos of them modifying this. We had an awesome one of a guy that, added a rail system right here above the mount so he could put his light
that's
on there.
cool.
It's actually really cool. And that's just, our customers coming up with their own innovative things because we've broken that mental barrier, to get people thinking about
Tell
it
you,
in
man, that's
different
the
ways.
best thing to do. Just throw it out there and then let people start
it's
messing with it.
Speaking of, what's the website? Where can they go look at this?
RikerUSA.com.
Riker USA.
RYKER. Yep.
RYKERUSA.com.
Do you have
Check 'em out.
videos up there? People running and stuff? Or
Yeah. There's
Okay.
there's videos on the website. You can find a lot of videos on YouTube. And there's a ton of content on our Facebook
Good.
and
And
Instagram.
Instagram, yeah. The other thing too is that this it's not just for like the PCC, it's not just for ARs. When we were originally doing this, I made it for a pain management device to help me shoot my SBR. And then we started realizing, like, holy crap, we can put this on a shotgun. We can put it on a SCAR. We can put it on an AK. We had one of the special ops
Dude,
units
you
just
could
ran it in
do,
a
you
saw
could do mounts
course.
for iPhones for that.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's
Yeah.
coming. Gear shifts, pull-up handles,
Yeah.
coffee cups.
Pull-up
Yeah.
handles, yes.
Yeah. Oh, we get requests for integrated lights all the time.
Yeah.
Just put my flashlight right on this thing.
And then we should have.
You could do a ring around it, and then you could have some tenderizer.
in our development process, one of the things we did is we sent it with a squad of SEALs through their workup cycle, and when that was one of the things on the feedback because they were using it as
Pop off real
using
quick.
it in the door jam, right, as a brace. And they said,
close
hey,
quarters.
it would be great if I had like
Hand
a
to
little
hand.
brass knuckle thing that popped out over it, so I could do that and still hold onto the grip and still use.
Yeah,
the
that's why they
point. So-
wanted it.
Because
Yeah.
you can barricade shoot with this, and it's nice. You just get up on target and push into it and pivot. It gives you a really good pivot point moving around. prone shooting positions, belly to the earth, mag well on the ground, elbows down, just pulling it back in. Whether it's AR, whether it's we got a lot of hunters that are actually using this in their deer blinds, in their tree stands, because what they said is with this position, it squares them up, and it allows them to rotate a lot more where they're not as restricted, on something on their backside.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, is we actually had the special ops units just went through a saw package, and they put the grips on there, and it's like the benefits are noticed instantly with higher caliber rifles and full auto.
Full auto, I
can see that. Yeah.
Flat and stable. It's just flat and stable. But the other thing is like, well, people are like, yeah, my muzzle brake, I can do this, I can hold it flat and stable. When you go through 3 mags, you dump that 3rd mag, you go to that 4th mag, even with the glove, it's hot. You're looking for cooler real estate. This 100% removes you from the heat.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
So there's another benefit right there.
Yeah.
But
cool product, guys.
Even if you are man enough to hold on to the heat, it's still in the back of your mind. It's affecting your shooting.
Yeah.
Innovation into our industry. I love it, you guys.
Progression of tradition.
The thing we love here on the show, our lead heads love companies like you that are coming out thinking outside the box.
For sure.
And this is awesome, man.
Magpul laughed all the way to the bank with their vertical grips and stuff. I hope that happens to you all too.
I
do, man.
So him and Marty and were the first ones really, I think, ever to interview me.
It was at NRA
1 or 2,
in Houston.
Yeah, long time ago.
Houston. That was a good time, man.
We shall call
I think
this
we were all just
segment,
kind of just
beware of the
breaking
Kraken.
into it at the time.
And yeah, it's just kind of all taken off now. So we
Evolved.
got headsets.
We live?
Yeah.
All right.
You guys look more like rock stars than anything else.
Right? That's a look I've been going for.
What band are you guys in?
You're working it, man. You're working it good. Working it real good.
We're with Poppin' Hodgies. I don't even know where that came from, but it sounded good.
Sounds like a cereal. I like it.
We need to start a band just so we can call it that.
Right.
Poppin' Hodgies?
Heck yeah, dude.
We just actually, we were at Sheep Show last week, right? Huntress and I, and doing stuff with Rocky Mountain Precision and Cryptek Outdoor and some of our friends at Prime Revolution Hunting Show. And they have these banquets, right? Like, I don't know where the money comes from, but
for the banquets,
there's some high rollers that roll in there, right?
Yeah.
So they have this society called the Marco Polo Society. If you're not familiar with this society, like,
no, I'm
not. These are
Isn't it $10,000 to join for the year?
Just a year, $10,000 a year to be a like in the society
of the Marco Polo. Is this like the pool club where you get?
No, these are like big ass sheep that and the hunts go for 70, 80. They're
one of them went for like $360.
Well, that was for that hunt. $360,000 somebody paid to.
$360,000
for an Arizona bighorn, right? So we were a group of us, so the low rent hunters, and so we're like, holy cow! Like, how do they come up with how do they do this? Of course, people making their money, whatever, but
people make some money.
They're committed.
Doing something.
So we're like, we need a low rent version of the Marco Polo Society, like people like the everyday hunter can afford, right? So several beers consumed, a lot of jokes told, and we came up with a society of the Aoudad Society, because the Aoudad you can get for like $5,000. Like you can actually hunt Aoudad. So it's a society of the Aoudad Society. We came up with this logo with a broken horn and a cross-eyed Aoudad.
That is awesome. So it's going to be a thing. The broke society,
right? Yeah. And it's going to turn into we do life memberships. They're $15, and you can make payments.
So I can join.
Yeah,
I'm so
I think
glad
it's
$750
for a year.
Annual.
That's
anyway,
cool. So that gets you the opportunity to go on some cool any kind of hunt, right?
No, you really just get a hat.
You just get a hat. There's no hunts involved.
It actually doesn't do anything.
There's no meetings.
It's pretty funny.
You get a hat and a patch.
I like that. Just a great excuse
you
for
to hang out with all us weirdos.
Right. So let's go ahead and introduce our guest, because we haven't done that yet. We just broke into it. We are at the 2018 SHOT Show, and we are recording from the Kel-Tec booth, the official lead quarters of Talking Lead, ladies and gentlemen. And we have the Huntress and we have the Kraken on.
Yes, sir. How's it going?
And for those who don't remember the Kraken, that's Jim Erwin, ladies and gentlemen.
Sir. And the Huntress Divine is my lovely wife, Annaliese Erwin.
There you go. And you guys, speaking of the sheep hunt, you just took down a very nice...
An Aoudad.
Big horned Aoudad.
Yeah, so we actually had a very lengthy and fairly successful hunting season. We started, I think, in August, September timeframe. Linked up with Dustin Crandall from Rocky Mountain Precision and building some phenomenal hunting rifles, bolt-action rifles, custom builds.
for a pretty good, reasonable price for what you get. And he said, hey, let's go do a hunt together. So we figured it all out, and long story short, we ended up going down to Texas and chasing Uriel sheep. And it's a pretty impressive animal. I can't afford the big horns and all the other stuff, but we were able to get a couple of these fellas on a ranch down there for a pretty reasonable price.
It's a good
and
hunting
a lot
in
of
Texas,
fun.
man. There's a good variety down there.
And who takes all the pictures you post? 'Cause those photos are awesome.
It's mostly me doing my selfies.
I mean,
self-talk.
If it's Jim and I, if they're Jim, I take them. If they're me, he
one or
takes
the
them.
other.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Annaliese does also have a very good eye for like
Artistic
when we do our editing of the photos.
Yeah,
so being
okay.
able to really bring out the pictures.
Yeah, that makes sense, because they look awesome.
We use
Thank
Silverline
you.
Films too. Josiah Ness and his gang up in Idaho. We use him quite a bit when we can. He's on with Prime Revolution now, doing their whole television show. So
He will be going with us to South Africa this year.
we do have a South Africa.
Now, you've
hunt
been on
coming
that
up.
show several times, right?
Yeah, a couple times. So we actually, the Huntress was on my last one with me. That we did the cameo. We actually did a predator hunt for coyotes, and had a really good time with that. And the beauty of that whole thing was we weren't finding anything. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Where's all the animals?
Yeah, where's all these freaking coyotes, right? And it was like this terrified. I was like terrified. Like I've had this ongoing multi-year grudge with coyotes, and you guys, with my background, former military special operations sniper and all this stuff, like the Kraken don't miss. Wrong. Wrong.
Well, if there's nothing to shoot, you miss, right?
Well, I've literally
coyotes, he gets amped with a coyote, and then he has to get all perfect. I'm like, it's a coyote, it's running. You need to
just start blasting.
Shoot it.
I just literally need to.
Now, are you
just
doing the
instinct
calls
shoot.
and everything?
Yeah.
We are.
What kind of calls are you using?
So we did on the show. We did the. It looked like a bullet.
Wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Was it convergent?
Yeah, convergent calls
Yeah.
we did on that
Convergent calls,
one.
okay.
Yeah, we did. We used that one on that one for Christmas. I got my own, and I think it's
Yeah,
a
I
Fox
bought him
Pro.
a Fox
Merry
Pro.
Christmas.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So I've missed several coyotes just literally stand like 80 yards, man.
You just like flying over their backs?
I don't know.
You don't know where you miss. You just miss.
I think my eyes rolled back. I was in the and I freaking.
Now you
missed.
doing night hunts on these? Obviously.
Haven't
No,
yet. Not yet.
They're
Doing some thermal.
It's amazing how many are out in Nevada midday. I mean, because cows are usually.
Oh, this is in
calving
Nevada, not
Yeah.
Texas. Okay.
Yeah,
We're
we're
in
up in
Nevada.
Nevada. Yeah.
Gotcha.
The
gotcha.
cows are
I was thinking I'm
calving
still in Texas. So.
midday a lot of the time, and those coyotes come in right when those
looking for
calves
baby
drop.
calves and stuff.
So.
But back to the sheep. We did the Uriel sheep. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a bighorn sheep, but it's exotic. So they got brought in from Europe and not Middle East, but like Africa.
Yeah, I heard they brought them in and they just kind of took over and
with the Audad.
overpopulated.
It's kind of a
The
cool
Audad
story.
took over.
Being a military, veteran, they actually got introduced to Texas by World War I veterans. World War II veterans. Some old Texans that were over there in the war saw these things and said that'd be fun to hunt.
Brought them
got
over?
out, got back from the war, brought some over, high fenced
Nice.
them, and they managed to get out. And there's about 25,000 of them now between Texas, Arizona, and California.
No,
right?
Texas, New Mexico,
They
California.
truly were the
That's why
greatest
she-
generation.
Yeah,
in every way.
Yeah,
I mean,
they just
you find out
so
more and
awesome.
more. Yeah.
So it really it made it a lot of fun to hunt them too because they are tough. They're challenging. They can take a hit and they just climb on the steepest, roughest terrain.
And
so
they can
it's-
go for
it's a
quite a
challenge.
few days without water.
Yeah, to
So
try
they're
to track
up
'em
there,
down,
and
yeah.
for them to come down and get water, a lot of times they're
Get your
waiting.
money's worth.
Yeah.
So this hunt that you guys were on, you were telling me that you were fairly elevated.
I was
Yep.
elevated
You-
pretty
you had
high.
She shot from her knees off a bipod, so she was probably, I'd say, a good 30-degree angle the way she had to get on the gun.
Wow.
To make her shot on it, and she just.
I mean, to make
high
a shot
shoulder.
like that, it's
It was awkward.
looking down and being on the edge and
wobbling on a rock.
Yeah, 'cause
keeping
I
her
had
balance.
The butt up from the rifle and then just loaded my bipod.
I would say, hold my belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was holding the camera.
Yeah. And I was like,
Hold the
okay,
camera
hold
and her
on.
belt.
I gave her a dope for her scope, and she clicked it in and hammered it when we caped it and gutted it. Took out the top of the heart. I mean, perfect shot. But,
Nice.
and then
I
I
mean,
was
he
able to
took
harvest.
that hit like a beast. I
Yeah,
mean, he kind
we'll
of
show you after.
shrugged, grunted.
No,
and
you
then
should. Yeah, I saw
walked
it.
off.
Yeah, you need to show Chad. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see that.
So you got the horns? Did you get the horns?
Yeah.
We're gonna do a half body
do 'em
mount
out?
on him because
Sweet.
Oops.
do
Because the
push-ups.
they have
guns at us.
those-
Do push-ups over there.
Drop
they have,
test.
Down with
They have the front chaps on their legs.
Yeah.
So all that hair comes down. So you kind of want to get the front half of them.
Right.
To put on. I don't know where we're gonna put him, but
no. Is it good meat? Good eating on these?
I thought it was good.
That was my next question.
So, come to find out.
I thought it was good.
The Barbary sheep is actually in the goat family, and you just don't eat goat. But you know,
everybody's
you're in
like,
Jamaica.
don't eat the aoudad. I'm like, I'll eat
so
it.
for what it's worth, we actually did try it, and packed out some meat and tried it. I wasn't a big fan.
So
Aoudad are
garlic.
tough animals, therefore the meat is a little tough.
Season it up.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Maybe you want to marinate it a few days before.
that evening I pulled the back straps off, made medallions, put them in, cooked them. I thought they were pretty good.
Hit us with websites, all the stuff. Everybody, all things Kraken and whatever you guys are up to.
The Huntress and
Kraken.
the Kraken.
Yeah, the Huntress and the Kraken. So we work for ourselves. We know with the brand ambassador stuff in the hunting and shooting community. I also teach pistol, carbine, and long-range shooting. Mostly it's introductory level, understanding the fundamentals and how to apply those so that you can be smoother and efficient.
I didn't know you were instructed. Awesome.
Yeah, yes. I got hit up a lot last year to asking me to start teaching again. So
are you traveling or you got
if we can get a big enough
facility?
group together. We teach a lot out of Oregon. We teach, obviously where we live there in Reno, Lake Tahoe area.
You've done some in Houston.
Did some teaching in Houston with some
guys.
constables down there.
Opportunity to get some training from Delta Force.
So what kind of like the classes? What like are different levels? Or
we can do different levels. Every class I teach starts with dry fire and fundamentals, right? So getting in there and understanding what right looks like, what right feels like, and understanding at the core of physically, mentally, and fundamentally capable of carrying a gun every day. So what I approach it as everyday ready. Pistol craft is, if you're carrying concealed, man, like you need to mentally be switched on. You need to be physically capable of getting into and out of this gunfight, because when the rev limiter hits at about 180 beats a minute and your eyes are big as pie plates, like
this is super important, because if you look up any tactical training on YouTube all across the country, guys are training in kit. Training, I don't carry a kit around every day.
I got a T-shirt and a pistol, man.
Train and how you carry it.
Yeah, exactly that. But there's a time and place for that, and the beauty of it is there's guys that provide it. I provide it. I lean towards the everyday ready side, and I don't kit up a lot. But if you want to do that, hey, awesome, dude, we can do it. But realize there's a fundamental base that must be established before you can start blazing.
Of
and otherwise you're just making a lot of expensive noise. And I have no disrespect
a lot of
for those
liability
guys.
too on your part.
But it behooves you.
Not you, but the person shooting.
And it really helps, with the ladies too, because we're not going to go get kitted up.
The ladies.
So this class is great because we're going to be in our jeans, nice shirt, whatever. We're not going to have all this kit on when something goes down.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we rarely wear it anyway. So
where are they going to find the classes? How much it costs?
Our daily rate, or a daily class, say a one-day class, is $250. So it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
My website is krakenultimus.com, ULTIMUS, and we put up there like the dates, what the course description is, and then it's usually just
private classes.
Reach out. Yeah, we also do private. I'm finding in my local area that there's women and some men that before they want to get into a group class, they want to they don't want to quote unquote show their ass, so they want a little education on their own. So
Very
I do private 2-hour classes that charge $75 an hour.
And a lot of people are bringing their teenage kids.
Yeah, I've literally done family classes, husband, wife, and two daughters, son and child.
That's
so
awesome.
They can learn
to build
the base level,
the confidence and the building blocks of it all. Yeah, that's awesome.
So I had a 12 and a 13-year-old girl that hadn't shot before. They had little Walther 22s, cool little pistols, and by the end of that 2 hours, I had them at about 85 yards hitting steel, and they were just like, "We can actually do this."
That's great.
All you gotta do is boil it down to the fundamentals, and I'm a firm believer in understanding what's around you. So the fundamental aspects of it, and then the mental, is being situated where nobody wants to take a life, but you better be ready. When that time comes, because you don't want to be in second place. So
you bring up another good point. There is if you decide that you want to get your carry permit and you want to carry, this is the best way to see if you can actually go through and you're the right personality to carry. Take a training course, and if you can't, bring yourself to
it's
full
just that much closer to the reality of it all.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of my one-day classes and some of my two-day classes, we do a blind scenario. So it's literally, I'm going to throw you in the fray, and you're going to go through a door, and you don't know what's on the other side.
He's looking at me right now like he wants to do this to me.
My course. Come to my course.
It's really an eye-opener, to put some some newer shooters or guys that have it's always been ranged mentality. You know, you live in a 360 world, and I'll actually set you up for failure. You know,
flat range.
Nice. I set you up for failure, but it's your job to think through what you're doing. You know, like, so the mental aspect of it
the
too.
Problem solving part.
So when you go through that door, it's like you're going to apply everything we just learned, and you need to think about what you're doing and what you're shooting.
And that's the Kraken Ultimus.
KrakenUltimus.com. So you got K-R-A-K. There's no C in there. K-R-A-K-E-N. Ultimus.com. U-L-T-I-M-U-S.
Pretty sure I spelled it right.
And
probably did.
And then he also has on there, along with the pistol carbine, he does long range.
Yeah, long range, intro to long range. So
for
understanding
all us fun hunters out there.
Yeah,
and that's fun because it's getting to know you can bring any gun you got. You want? I got demo guns from on the higher side, you know, from Rocky Mountain Precision. But it's understanding what your capabilities are as a hunter, getting confidence in your rifle, getting that data on your gun. So if you bring an old 30-30, hey, cool. Let's see what that gun does.
Yeah.
So you know when you go out on that hunt, like
what it can do,
what your limitations are.
Yeah,
so you get a clean kill. Yeah,
exactly.
I think it's
Ethical
really important
side of hunting.
because there's been a few girls that I've run across and their first time really working with that rifle is out on that hunt. And I'm like, do you know what your rifle is capable of? Or do you know that you're able? They're like, oh, yeah, my rifle will do this, this, and this. I'm like, have you done it?
Right.
And they're like, well, no.
Yeah.
But my
it's like
boyfriend said.
your rifle could do it, but can you do it?
Yeah,
Exactly.
she's like, well, my boyfriend said it would be
only as
fine.
good as a
And I'm
shooter.
like, no.
And then I'm like, do you know how long I've been putting in that tag and haven't got it? You better kill. And ethically. So.
And that's another thing for the animal's sake, too.
Absolutely.
You need to know what you're doing because you don't want to,
And that's
just
like
wound
my-
one. And
That's my
You don't
big
do
thing.
unethical
is
hunts.
like,
Yeah, Marty just
I
jumped
want
on
the
board.
one
We've been
shot.
talking about that for 5 minutes now.
Literally is.
Sorry.
So being able to make that,
I was
clean, ethical
distracted.
shot and knowing the capabilities of yourself and your gun. So if you know you can bang a shot at 500 yards, like that's a no-brainer, man. I got this. Or, damn it, I need to keep crawling and get a little closer. Because I know, like, my data, I'm confident in a 200-yard shot instead. And we always want to get closer.
That's kind of the fun. That's kind of the fun part, though. You know.
Yeah,
trying
being
to
able
really
to
can't.
spot and stock.
Yeah.
We
But sometimes if you're in that blind and they're, back east,
do blind hunts,
and there's one that's just 500 yards out. To a lot of people, 500 yards is far.
You remember that time I almost got killed by wild boars in California?
That was funny.
Remember? It was the three of us on a mountainside. They were skirting away from us. What were they, like 15, 20 yards in front of us the whole time?
on the side of the bush.
Holy crap.
Is this on video?
I wish.
I'm looking at Jim like, I want to kill one of these things so bad. So I start creeping down, getting low. I was just going to go down and get prone. And I look at him. He's like, no.
He's calling you off. He's waving you off.
Yeah, and so afterwards you go down like, dude, you can't get on the ground like that. You shot one and they all came running this way. You're getting freaking gutted.
Right over.
Yeah, so
get a big tusk.
And then I had to tell him to get the knife out of his teeth. He was going in like
he was combat crawling in,
tying the headband.
got the dark under his eyes.
no, we didn't get anything, but man, that was
we had a great time.
Fun.
We did. We did.
That's cool. And you guys video a lot of your stuff too.
We
so
do.
You got it on YouTube and
so we've been really getting asked to get more on like YouTube. So we have a couple, probably 135 followers right now, nothing crazy, maybe 20, 30 videos on there, but we're going to put a pretty heavy push in 2018 to create more. Been getting asked a lot to
get more content.
Create more content. So we've actually got a new camera that will do that without making some weird clicking noise as it tries to. Like I said, we're talking about the odd ad hunt and low rent, right? So, What do you mean this camera won't work with the paper around it?
Makes a little pling when you open it. And the shutter.
So we're going to create a lot more on that.
I'm excited to see it, man.
Yeah, so Talking Lead's probably going to be one of our biggest financial backers on this.
right, because Kel-Tec is going to be backing us. But
Chad,
no.
Pay it forward, man. Just pay it forward.
Yeah. We're doing everything we can to not have to go find a job and do what we love,
sure
but also share it.
Some collaborations because like I was telling you, we're in works on a new TV show too, a little hunting competition show, and
that'd be awesome.
I'll show it to you off air.
Right on.
A little video. Yeah.
So it's a way of giving back, in my opinion. So how can I, with my special operations back, or train, mentor, and inspire the next generation of not us like soldiers, but also hunters, and use what I've learned from the best in the world, and give back. Like my day's done, man. I'm 47 this year, but as far as being
is this like the
pro,
age of 47-year-old?
It is.
I'm 47 this year. He's 47 this year.
It's a prime.
You don't count.
It's a prime year. It's
You're
vintage.
27,
right?
We are pushing the vintage.
Yeah, but also bring some humor, some candor to the seriousness of it, right? So we live in a dangerous, deadly world, and I've done some seriously, crazy shit.
Yeah.
But you know what? If it ain't trying to blow me up or kill me today, why not have a good time with it and make it a fun and learning experience as well, man?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I like that, bringing some comedy into hunting, man. I mean, it is missing, It's usually all the stuff that's off camera while you're on a hunt. That's the funny stuff. And if you can throw that on camera, that's the way to do it. Yeah.
And what I find too is man, the world we live in and the guys that are actually putting foot to ass on a daily. I mean, that is deadly serious business, but it almost changes their character. And what I saw when I was in is, once you got to those levels of professionalism, like you changed, you evolved into this like deadly serious dude. And I'm like, don't let that change who you are. Like, it's a badass job, and you're doing awesome stuff, but don't let it change who you are at your core. And if you're a character, man. But you've done a deadly serious job. Like, it's okay to let's take a step back and crack a joke here and there, right? So
when it's time to go to work, go to work.
I just think I take it to the excess.
Take
Like, I'm always trying to create a joke. Even in a shitty situation, I'm trying to create a joke out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he is not shooting at me, is he?
You did not just
give him the neck bone. He did not just shoot at me.
The Kraken and the Huntress, make sure you guys check them out. Again, one more time, give them the links.
Okay, so Jim, the Kraken 1 on Instagram, and then Kraken Ultimus for the website. And then for me, I'm just Huntress Divine on Instagram, and then website. Kraken
so I'm trying to create the whole social media side is Jim the Kraken 1, and our YouTube channel is Jim the Kraken Erwin right now until we can get that on board. I have to.
And for our
I'm not so tacky savvy. I got to figure out how to transfer it all to the other YouTube channel, and I haven't done it yet.
For all you new lead heads that are just tuning in and hearing Jim for the first time, go back through our archives. Jim's been on the show several times before. Great interviews there. I mean, my God.
Always the life of the party.
He's
two of the coolest people ever.
Our 5th year anniversary, and Jim was with us in the beginning. So,
right on. Hey man, I always
it's good to see you again, brother.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Of course.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to thank all my sponsors: Loophole Optics, Proof Research,
Mama, love you.
Rocky Mountain Precision, Cryptic Outdoor. So I won't keep carrying on, but guys, check us out.
Plug them. Absolutely, plug them. That's what we're here for, man.
Rockwell Watches, Wiley X. We'll be at the Wiley X booth from 2 to 4 today during their happy hour. If you are at the SHOT Show, come see us. They got this big-ass poster of me, and it's funny.
Send some of them up here. We'll interview them.
Right on.
Yeah.
So, again, man, as
the official optics of Talking Lead, by the way, right on optics.
Right on. So we can't thank them enough. We couldn't be doing what we're doing without the sponsorships, and we're hugely appreciative to be a part of their programs.
Absolutely, man. All right,
Gen
guys.
Tech is another one.
Oh, yeah.
One day Kel-Tec, but we are sponsored by Chad Enos and Talking Lead now.
Chad Enos. And now Talking Lead.
Yeah.
Again, guys, truly appreciate it, man. And
Leadhead Brigade.
always a pleasure to catch up with y'all.
Appreciate it, buddy. More coming from the official lead quarters at the Kel-Tec booth for the 2018 SHOT Show, so tune in.
I forgot to let Huntress Divine finish.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
What
Didn't mean to
was
cut
I
you off.
I didn't know if I cut you off.
You always do, so I forget what I say.
You also get dibs on the microphone now.
Were you going to give a shout out to one of the sponsors?
No, I mean he covered everybody.
She is part of the Cryptec Ladies Legion, and we'll be down at the Cryptec booth this afternoon.
Nice.
Signing babies.
Sign some autographs.
Yeah, go meet a legend. Go on down there.
Thanks, guys.
Perfect. All right, guys, so we are back with our guest Chad Enos with Kel-Tec and Chuck LaRue of LaRue Carbon, not to be confused with LaRue Tactical, like I said earlier. LaRue Carbon, and we're going to. And I failed to give you guys this in the first part of the show, but I want to give you some contact information so you can make your voices heard. So you need to get in touch with your elected officials and let them know your stance on this. All the gun grabbing legislation that's being proposed right now. So on the federal, you can go to usa.gov/elected officials, and then there's going to be a whole list there. So depending on what state you're in, you click on your state, and they give you phone numbers, email addresses for everyone there. So you go to there and get this list. For the president, you want to get in touch with Trump, there's a form that you can fill out, or you can call the White House direct at 202-456-1414. They have a comments line at 202-456-1111. To get your senators, you call 202-224-3121. I think your representatives, I think you can use that same number there. Your state officials, your governors, your state legislators, your local officials, mayors, county executives, you go to this website and there's contact information depending on where you are for all these people. To get in touch with organizations like the NRA that are out there protecting your rights, speaking for the majority of us gun owners out there, the NRA, you can call them at 800-672-3888. There's, 5 million members of the NRA, so they are the largest gun advocate group that's out there right now. You can contact them on the web. You go to contact.nra.org/contact-us.aspx. And then they also have another division. It's the NRA-ILA, which is their legislative branch. It's the Institute for Legislative Action is what that stands for. And that's, like Chuck was saying earlier, I'm old school, www.nra-ILA.org/contact-NRA-US / and you can call 800-392-8683. That's for the NRA-ILA. And then you can go to their website. Go to that website, and they've got a form already pre-done where you just fill it out, put your name, your state, your phone number, all that. It's called Take Action Link. So you click on that link, it'll take you to that letter that's already ready to go. You just sign it, put your info in there, and it'll send it to your state legislators. They make it real easy for you there. And then, of course, NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation. It's nssf.org, 203-426-1320. They also have an online form there that's ready to go, so you can go there. Go to all these sites and fill out all these forms. The more, the better. The more that you're putting the buzz in your elected officials' ears. You know what's the old saying? The squeaky wheel gets old.
Yeah,
and that's what all these
gets greasing.
And these liberals understand that, and that's why they are so loud and so boisterous and so obnoxious. And
I don't think that's why, but they are.
Well, they are louder and more boisterous than a lot of us, and that's the thing.
It's like to hear
a lot of us gun owners are sitting back on our laurels, not taking action. We're just saying Trump's in office; it's going to handle itself. I don't need to do anything. If they come get my gun...
Big mistake. Do not make that mistake.
I'll shoot them if they come get my guns. Well, no, you're not. You're going to get taken down, and you're going to get beat to a bloody pulp and probably killed.
Well, unless it's the Broward County guy.
Unless it's the Broward County, yeah. Then he's going to sit outside and wait till somebody who can.
Do you have like a truth bomb sound effect you could drop in there?
That's hilarious. The gun owners.
Broward County's defense, I'm sure there are deputies there that are awesome, that are Second Amendment lovers. I just want to put that out there. Their leadership's terrible. That doesn't mean all the Broward County Sheriff's Department's a joke. So,
but the
sheriff and that deputy are.
He could definitely use some PR classes at least.
Yeah. Gun owners.
He could use some go back to New York or New Jersey classes. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah.
Sorry, New York and New Jersey, but you guys need to get it together with your politics up there.
In California.
In California,
yeah.
All right. Gun Owners of America, the GOA, they've got almost 2 million members there. Another large organization, gunowners.org. It's 703-321-8585. They've got an online form there as well that I was telling you about. It's a take action button, and it sends a letter directly to your senators. So, they make it easy for you. If you're like, I don't want to go to the hassle of writing a letter, writing an email, typing up an email, I don't feel like calling, then just go to these websites, click on the link, put your info, and send it. That's all you got to do. And go to every one of these. And there's a whole lot of other organizations out there. These aren't the only organizations that have been organized and developed for our gun rights. I was reading one. Let's see. Maybe this is it. Yeah, here we go. Redneck Revolt. Pink Pistols. Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. So you people up in New York, there's an organization you can get involved with. Gun Owners of New Hampshire. GeorgiaCarry.org. Florida Carry. Liberal Gun Club. There's a Liberal Gun Club right there. So for you leftists who don't agree with everything that's going on right now and you want to get with some like-minded individuals, give those guys a call. You can call the NRA too, because there's tons of liberals and alternate lifestyle people that are members of the NRA as well. No, we welcome everyone. We're not a good old boy exclusive redneck club. Of course, the Redneck Revolt might be. Actually, it says that they welcome LGBT and all other lifestyles at the Redneck Revolt.
Just because someone's a redneck doesn't mean they're not gay. There's a lot of gay rednecks.
I mean, usually it's quite the opposite. It means they are, I guess. I don't know.
Are you kidding me? Erica out here, she's gay and she's about as redneck as it gets.
Nice.
And she's a gun owner, a gun lover. Obviously, she works here. I mean,
right. So there's all kinds of different organizations that you can get involved with. If you don't agree with the NRA, you don't like the NRA, then again, there's other options out there for you to get involved and make sure that your voice is heard.
If you don't agree, well, and that goes hand in hand with what we're saying, man. If you don't agree with everything that the NRA does, man, let them know. Let them know your concerns. Let them know that you don't like the way that they're taking this, because right now they're taking heat round after heat round after heat round.
Yeah.
And it's all the NRA's fault. Like,
well, I think on the elections this year, there's going to be a lot of voices heard during the annual meeting when the elections go through. I think we're going to see some changes.
I would agree with that.
All right, so Chuck.
Yes, sir.
New guy questions.
All right.
Chad, do you remember our new guy questions?
Two of them.
Okay, I'll ask you the first one. I'll get it started. So, right. What's your earliest?
That's not one of the two I know.
Yeah, what's your earliest recollection of firearms, being introduced to firearms? Was that one you knew?
Man, my dad took me hunting when I was probably 6 or 7, I want to say. That was like the first time that
What'd you hunt with?
Like, pardon me?
What did you hunt with?
I think I had a 20 gauge. We lived in Illinois at the time, and it was just a little shotgun. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know if he put shells in it, to be honest with you. But
okay. Do you still have that shotgun?
Well, we didn't see anything anyway, so that's probably my earliest recollection of actually.
You can hear Chad typing.
Shooting in the backyard on our farm and stuff like that. But then when I got into probably 6th grade, my parents were actually the local 4-H club leaders, and we had a shooting sports club, and I shot competitively in shooting sports from the time I was in 6th grade all the way till when I was in high school. So, at the time it was...
Is that like skeet shooting?
It was just, it was actually more Olympic style. So you got the four positions, and
oh, cool.
I mean, I think we shot at...
And that was through 4-H?
Yeah, it was through 4-H. It was awesome, man. Like, nice. It was... Looking back on it, man, I wish I would have been more excited about it. But, when you're in high school and you're playing all different types of sports and you got to wake up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday to go to the range and shoot and teach some little kids how to shoot, you don't really appreciate the kind of position you're in at that time.
Sure. Hindsight, man. Hindsight.
Yeah. Looking back, like, it was fun. Like, it was a good time. So that's, I've been with the, I won't say my entire life, but a good portion of my life has involved.
Now that shotgun, you still have that shotgun?
No. That
it's gone.
That's my dad.
Long gone.
No, it's his.
Okay, but you still have access to it.
Yeah, probably.
You should go visit him. Take it out, shoot it again. Say this is the first gun I was ever exposed to. So take a picture of it, put it in one of your cases.
When this thing airs, my mom or my dad or hell, one of my sisters will be like, "Hey, what about this?" And I'll be like, "Hey, it was in the spot. Sorry, man." But that's pretty much what I think I remember the most. So
what was the first gun that you could call your own that you actually went out, spent your money on, and bought?
Well, the first gun that I could call my own was a gun that my dad got me when I graduated from high school. He got me a 30-30, and I still have that in my closet, in my safe in my closet, and it's a fun little gun. I don't shoot it that often just because of the sentimental value of it. The first gun that I bought was a Savage 7mm, and it's a good little gun. It's not bad. It's a good little gun for what I paid for it. And
question 2, Chad,
yes,
you know
sir.
what question 2 is?
If you could, I don't know. I don't have an order though.
So, your background, you were talking earlier that you've got some military background.
Yeah.
To the extent that you're comfortable talking about it, tell us about that.
Well, I after I finished college and went to kind of had a lingering feeling ever since 9/11 that I just needed to do something. And I guess, like I mentioned earlier, I have a couple sisters that are a lot younger than me, and they were in grade school when all that stuff happened. And that kind of made me think more about, it expanded my horizons on, I don't want them to have to live through something like that again. So I went and I enlisted in the Army. I was a 13 Foxtrot, which is a fire sports specialist, and had some fun. And
how many years did you serve?
A couple years. Yep. I got hurt and ended up having a bunch of surgeries. So still try to get that fixed to this day. Thanks to the. Have
you got any stories you can tell us? Funny stories? What's something the first thing comes to mind?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was considered an old guy when I enlisted because.
How old were you?
You had kids fresh out of the minivan. I was 23, 24, something like that, maybe. And we were in, where were we? I forget where we were. We were doing some sort of training, and I started making bird calls on the open mic when we were practicing all of our call for fire stuff, and no one knew what was going on except for my little fire team that was around me. And every time the XO got on and made some sort of a statement, I would answer back with just these stupid bird calls. I mean, we were delirious. And it got to the point where other people started doing it as well. And he lost his top. It was so funny until, we all went to formation and, we got
took your discipline, right?
yeah. It was just, I think subconsciously I might have taken it out of that scene from Band of Brothers where they're jacking around with the captain or whatever. That was
David Schwimmer.
Yeah,
from Friends. Yeah,
and they were giving him miscommunication. Subconsciously, it might have happened. I didn't really say, "Hey, that happened. I'm going to do this," but yeah, I was just making stupid bird calls, and it was.
Give us an example of the bird call that you do.
it wasn't even.
Let's see how good you are.
Good. I was like. Like that, just stupid stuff like that.
That would be annoying. Yeah.
It did not make any sense.
Right,
that was the funny part about it. It was just it wasn't anything crazy, realistic. It was just stupid.
You're just
calls.
making up shit. That's funny.
Yeah,
that's a good one. So, Chad, next question. You got it.
Okay, if there was money was no object, was it laws? Laws or no?
So
no
laws be damned, rules be damned.
Yeah,
money be damned.
You could have anything. You could buy anything in the world that you wanted. What would it be? Anything. Doesn't have to be a gun. Doesn't have to be a car. It could be anything in the world. What would you want?
That is a good question.
It doesn't even have to be tangible, does it?
No,
it wouldn't, because
rules and laws be damned. Yeah,
I would buy a C-47. Like that's
that's not the first time you heard that, is it?
No.
Dude, that plane, I don't know why. I love that plane, man. I think it's.
What do you like about it? What's the thing you like about it?
It's not even a fighter. It's not even like a fighter craft or anything. It's just a troop transport, like C-47 from World War II. I think they're awesome. Like, I had one as my screensaver for years.
How would you paint it?
Nice.
How would you paint it?
Oh, I would definitely.
Good question.
I would definitely just do the straight OD green with the old school Army Air Corps red circle with the white star in it.
Okay, so you just keep it traditional.
The straight traditional, yeah.
Dude,
and then
I would paint freaking like Austin Powers kind of paint schemes on it. Yeah,
yeah, so,
tie-dye kind of stuff.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, and I don't have a tangible
reason
Hey, why I would buy that. But
the heart wants what the heart wants.
That is true. Like, and that's over like any sort of like brand new widget or car or anything.
Better
like
than a Ford F-150 that Jeremy said he wanted. Like, no limit on money, no rules, no laws.
Ford F-150.
He's like, man, I really been wanting one of those Ford F-150s.
like a 1957 Ford?
Like, dude, you go out and buy one of those tomorrow. That's funny. All right, so next question is, when it comes to pop culture, whether it's a movie, a game, video game, music, magazine, what's your go-to that's firearms related? TV show, could be anything.
I'm a big fan of when I have time. I have about 13 episodes of Pigman locked in the old DVR, and man, the dynamic.
What's Pigman?
He's the pig hunter down in Texas.
Okay, I've not seen that show.
He's kind of a eccentric guy, but he's funny. But I watch it for his dad, because his dad says some crazy stuff, and he reminds me of my dad sometimes. Like, it's just
okay.
The dynamic is hilarious, and that's probably my go-to show. As I listen to just country music, but I listen to a lot of talk radio. Like, when I'm trying to multitask, like, that's the easiest thing I can do is throw it on, and anything to do with sports, man. Like, I'm
sports.
all over.
What's your favorite sport?
College football would be the
college football. Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
And then and that's even before all the.
So what about a movie? What's your go-to movie? What's your feel-good movie that you sit down and just makes you feel is like, man, I just love this movie? It could be anything. Which one?
Wedding Crashers.
Crashers.
Yeah, it's the humor on it never gets old. I mean, I have a text message thread with some of my buddies from college, and we will randomly just pick out lines from that movie. I mean, it'll be 6 months without us touching that thread, and we'll just be like, throw out a line from there, and then it snowballs out of control from there. That's
Give me a line. Give me a line.
When he says, yeah, that's it. Go comatose for me. When she takes her pills, and she goes, you shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
She's a stripper, for God's sake.
She is not.
Her name is Chastity. She is white trash, same as you, hillbilly.
That's it. Go comatose for me, baby.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
So stupid. I love it, man. I love it.
So that's the one with.
I like dumb comedies, man. Nah.
The one where he's going to see Will Ferrell.
Yeah. Ma, the meatloaf.
What is she doing back there? I never know what she's doing. Almost nunchucked you, man. You don't even know.
You don't even know.
The best is at the end. At the end, when he's talking to what's her name in the church, and he's like explaining why he was crashing these weddings and hooking up with these girls, and he's just like, I met Chaz and we crashed a funeral, and then he just like totally loses track of the fact he's having this moment with her, and he turns around to Vince Vaughn, and it's like, dude, he's cleaning up, and it works. Like,
It works.
Justifying it again, like
The
it's
funeral.
man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Chad, next one.
Well, hang on. Go back real quick. I love that scene where he's like,
okay.
So, did you see that? And he's like, Will Ferrell's sitting on the couch, when Owen Wilson first comes in and the girl walks out, and he's like, all right, babe, see you later, and he's like, what? And he's like, cleaning up, man. I'm just cleaning up. And he leans back on the couch and he goes, I got her at a funeral. Yeah. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, her husband went hang gliding. I'm hang gliding. Oh, crap, I'm dead. Idiot.
I gotta go.
Hey, babe. Yeah. You do whatever you have to do.
Thanks.
Okay, be strong. I'm just living the dream. That's unbelievable. Oh, man, I feel like, wow. It's like I come over. It's like I don't know what to expect. I got to be honest. I come in. It's like a little like I'm trying to get my bearings. There's cartoons, your mom. And it's like you still got it. Look at her. Just living the dream. I love that. You know what? I will have some meatloaf. Let's have some meatloaf. You want some? Yes. I knew you'd come. Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf! What is she doing? I never know what she's doing back there. Just living the dream. Where'd you get that girl? She's hot. I got her yesterday. Yesterday? Yeah. I rode my bike over to a cemetery nearby. Her boyfriend just died. You met her at a funeral? Yeah. Dude died in a hang gliding accident. What an idiot. Oh, I'm hang gliding. Honey, take a good picture. I'm dead. What a freak. You met her at a funeral. Yeah, I'll throw in a wedding every now and then. But funerals are insane. The chicks are so horny, it's not even fair. It's like fishing with dynamite. Horny? Yeah, crazy horny. I just... at a funeral? Grief is nature's most powerful aphrodisiac. Huh. Look it up. I didn't know that. That's what I've learned. Ma, the meatloaf!
it's
mindless humor.
Dead husband.
Yeah, it's so good. Like I don't know.
Will Ferrell crushes it in just about everything.
He really does, man. Like that guy is hilarious.
Did you see the one where he's George W. Bush? He does like a little stage performance. Oh, you got to watch that. It's good.
I've seen him do Bush.
It's like a stand-up thing, but it's not like a movie, or it's just like a
like a little
something you'd find on HBO or something like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, he's those guys are all funny, man. Especially get them all together, and man, they just play off each other so well. So
hit him with the next question. Hit him with the tangible possession. What's your bucket list?
Oh yeah, bucket list.
Well,
bucket list item, firearm or gear, piece of kit.
Man, I would have to. I want a collection of World War II era firearms. So, I want an MG42. Cool. I want a Thompson, the field rated Thompson. I want an M1 Garand. Like, I want a Luger. I want all of that. Like I want like a whole complete collection of like the European theater.
That's awesome. That was mine too, but I was more specific about it. I want my grandfather's M1 Grand and his sidearm. If I could have those two guns my grandfather had in World War II, dude, I would freak.
Oh my God. Like it would be
his 1911 and his Grand.
So I had the rare pleasure of actually in hand. I was at a gun store locally here. A guy brought in a World War I Mauser.
Okay.
Wow.
That his grandfather was it his grandfather? No, it was his father. His father brought back from the war, from World War
trophy?
II. He actually brought it back from World War II. Yeah, it was a war, and he had all the paperwork and everything, so he brought it back legally. But it was in like immaculate condition. He had taken it out. He had it like boxed up for like 30 years, and he was taken out because he actually wanted to, take it out and shoot it. And he put some bullets in it, and the spring jammed up, so he brought it in there for the guy to see.
That's why it looked brand new. Somebody tried it back then too, and it didn't work.
It didn't work, so he put it up, right?
This doesn't work. Going back to the safe.
Put it back in the safe. But I don't know if you guys can see that or not on my phone.
Yeah.
But I took a lot of pictures of it, so I'll post that up. But that was just, I've never seen one, never held one before, never seen one in person. So that was kind of cool. And the guy was tearing up talking about it too, man.
Man, they're
heartfelt.
They had such, like, especially at that time, like the way that things were just produced in mass in such a short amount of time was just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely love if I had.
Do you have any now?
No, I don't. No.
So you're looking to start that collection
someday, man. Someday.
Okay. Well, if you let heads know of any good deals on some World War II weaponry, get in touch with Chuck.
Yeah, definitely. That would be amazing. Like I love that stuff. So,
Chad, you want to ask the last question?
If I could remember it, I would. You got to text me these things so I don't sound stupid on the radio.
Chad, it has to do with the range.
Oh, yes. If you could go to the range, spend a day at the range with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Fictional. Wow. It could be fictional.
Yeah, it could be somebody even from a movie, right? Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I wish you would have texted me.
Or a group of people.
Or a group. Think about.
No, that's the whole point of these questions.
One of them will be a highly controversial figure. Highly.
Jay-Z?
Talk a little
Tupac?
bit more relevant.
Tupac?
In actual.
Oh, so Beyonce then.
Yeah. No, I would get back on the World War II kick. I would have to say I would literally want to go with General Patton, who, as much as he's an American hero, that guy was off his rocker. Like it is
those pearl-handled 1911s.
Yeah, like it's just insane. I would like to have him. I'd like to have, bring back the General Washington, man. Like
General Washington, there you go.
And pick his brain. I mean, I got, I'm pretty big into the Revolutionary War history. Like, I got my soldiers there and got some others. But just the amount of pride and what they saw. I mean, for Patton to see what he saw, obviously, he was fully in favor of, not stopping in Germany to go take out the Russians. And he saw the imminent threat there. And, obviously that wasn't realistic that we could do that at that time. However, between him having that foresight, for Washington to do what he did, took that job, never took a paycheck for it, completely volunteered his time and his services throughout the duration of the Revolutionary War. Man, those are like patriots right there. Like those are guys that, like, I won't say I won't say that they are more patriotic than other people. Obviously, they're more well known than the norm.
Well, I mean, obviously their patriotism is legendary. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just strive to be on that level someday. Like,
was that the last question?
That was the last of my line. You got one?
And there's 5, right? I've got a good question you could add to this or supplement it, like, pull one out. If you could go back in time to any conflict and you could take one person with you and any piece of gear, what would it be? What conflict, what piece of gear, and what person would you take with you?
I'd go back to Yorktown, take Chris Kyle, and take.
That's why I love that question, because
that's awesome.
That nails it. That nails it.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, you could kit him up with a freaking BB gun. I mean, if we're using today's technology versus their technology, I mean, we could use a freaking pellet gun. But
so Red Ryder and Chris Kyle, got it.
Obviously we get them on something like a 338 LaPoule or something like that, and really give the British an ass kicking. But
So the deal is, like, I guess if you could take back any piece of gear, it would have to also include a resupply or unlimited supply of ammo. So obviously, that's implied.
It's something to make a difference.
If we're in Fantasyland, let's go ahead and fully make it fantasy.
Exactly.
So we're not worried about reloads or anything like that.
So for our listeners who aren't familiar with the Siege of Yorktown, so this was also known. Go ahead.
Cornwallis kind of wintered his troops there against the advice of Benedict Arnold, of all people, who defected to the other side, and Washington was obsessed with taking New York back, and ultimately, it was the French saying, "Hey, we'll help you out, but we're gonna do it down here. Like, this makes more sense." So, anyways, what Benedict Arnold warned Cornwallis about was the fact that strategically it was a horrible place to camp. Like, it was a horrible place to build a defense, because if the French were coming, they could cut them off from the sea, and then they could be surrounded very easily, and that's exactly what happened. And effectively, that was the battle that broke Britain's back and won us our freedom. I mean, obviously, it didn't happen just like that, but that was the domino that fell that led to everything that we have today.
There you go. Good history lesson. Maybe that's a segment we'll start doing. We'll have a little history lesson segment on the show.
Kind of a history dork when it comes to.
Hey, just before we go, I want to give a shout out. So just let me know when we're finishing up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was I was going to wrap it up after that. So yeah, you've been indoctrinated. Welcome to the Leadhead Brigade, Chuck. You're an official Leadhead.
There you go, buddy.
Hopefully, I didn't bore anybody too much today.
Not at all. Not at all.
So, guys, check this out. This is how you do it, Broward County. This is how you do it. I'm giving a shout out to the West Melbourne Police Department. These guys are literally 10 minutes from my office. A teen arrested for school threat. A 15-year-old teenager has been arrested and charged with making a threat against Central Middle School in West Melbourne. At the start of school on Wednesday morning, February 28, 2018, the school resource officer at Central Middle School received information from concerned students who saw something, they said something, from concerned students who saw a threat on social media. The threat referenced shooting up Central Middle School with a gun. The teenager who posted the threat was identified as Stefanos. I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce his last name. A former student at Central Middle School. He was located and detained at the South Area Alternative Learning Center in Melbourne. After detectives investigated, he was arrested and charged in the second-degree felony crime of making a false report concerning the use of a firearm. He, meaning the potential shooter, qualifies for secure detention and will be incarcerated at the Juvenile Detention Center. That's how you do it.
Boom.
You see something, somebody says something, law enforcement jumped on it immediately and got this kid arrested before he could do any harm to anybody.
Yep.
There you go. Take a lesson, Broward County.
Any questions, call Chad at... All right, guys, great show. That brings us to to the end of another episode.
That's how you say it in Tennessee.
That's how you say it in another episode of the Talking Lead podcast. Want to thank my guest, Chad Enos with Kel-Tec. Thanks again, buddy, for being on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for all the help at SHOT Show. Couldn't have done it without you guys.
That was the best time. I can't wait to do it again.
It was. Just wait till next year when we're even more organized, and we'll get the social.
Epic.
We'll get the live social media stuff going really good.
And I've got some stuff to tell you about that too. So anyway, we'll do that later.
Very cool. Chuck LaRue with LaRue Carbon. Thank you so much for being on. Thoroughly enjoyed it, man. Hated to indoctrinate you with such a political show on your first appearance, but I think it was good, man. A lot of good information.
Hey, thank you very much for the opportunity, man. I really appreciate it. I'm humbled and honored to be able to come on and just ramble about stuff.
You're welcome back.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, absolutely. And give your contact information again on the awesome carbon fiber cases. Yeah, it's LaRueCarbon.com, and on the website you can, if you have any questions, you can email me directly, and that's Chuck at LaRue Carbon, and then all social media platforms. Give us a follow, man. I'm not big on the social media, so I've been making a concerted effort to push that and be more social on it and get more posts out there and get the followers up. So at LaRue Carbon, that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Instagram's kind of the go-to right now. Not saying I don't do anything with the other ones, but give us a follow. I appreciate it. And I do all sorts of crazy giveaways. Like I'll give away shirts and hats and giving away a couple cases just on a whim. Cool. So you got to follow. You got to follow in order to get that. So. Got to follow. Got to participate. Just like on Talking Lead, man. You guys got to be engaging on the social media. Speaking of, I am giving away right now as we speak. I'm going to give away a Tactical Squirrel monthly box for March. I'm going to give away March box, and I don't know what's in it yet because they've not sent me the stuff. And I'm going to go to our post that we did with the Chipper Jones post here, and I'm going to go through here. I'm going to randomly pick one of you engaging lead heads. So let's go through here, and actually, I'm going to let Chuck pick. So are you on the interwebs right now, Chuck? Yeah, I can get there right now. Yeah, so go to Talking Leads. Yeah, go to Talking Leads Facebook page. Give me 1 second. And go through all those comments there. Just pick out one that you like there, and pick that person as the winner. As long as it's not Daniel Foster, then he's the jackwagon from the UK that doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Yeah. So drum roll. Let's go with. Actually, go underneath Daniel Foster and look at all the replies to his, and pick one of those guys that engaged him. I'm pulling it up, Daniel Foster. Here we go. It's in reply. There you go. And educated him. There were some good responses to his ignorance. Go with. I saw this one up top that I liked. That's fine. Just pick anybody, as long as it's not Daniel Foster. We'll go with Ronald Inslee. Ronald Inslee, and his comment was, Daniel Foster, does it hurt to be stupid? The AR platform is one of the most fun rifles to shoot. Soldiers are taught to shoot to kill. A dead enemy cannot harm you, while an injured or maimed one can still kill you. An AR can maim, but the reason it isn't used by the military is because of the M16, which is still an AR platform, but that's another topic. And then it goes on to say how it has different settings and selections of burst and fully auto, blah, 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 which we don't need all that. But Ronald, that first line got me with, does it hurt to be that stupid? Does it hurt to be that stupid? Very cool. So Ronald Inslee, get in touch with me. Send me an email at talkingled@gmail.com, and we'll get your info to get you this month's Tactical Squirrel monthly subscription box. And if you lead heads want one, go to my website, talkingled.com. There's a link there that you can click on and sign up and get one of those awesome boxes each month. You can also choose to have ammo included with your box if your state allows it. They'll include a box of your favorite ammo. You just let them know what caliber you want. They'll put it in there along with all the other cool outdoor and survival gear that they put in those boxes. So check them out. Go to our website, talkingled.com, click on the link. And as a first month subscription, as a lead head and a lead head only, they put in a little extra something for you each month. Very cool. All right, guys. Big thanks to all our sponsors again: High Threat Concealment, Right On USA, X-Steel Targets, Modern Spartan Systems, VanQuest, Glock, of course, Kel-Tec, Asymmetric Technologies, 1776 United. And I also got to thank Eagle Imports. They have been very generous in donating some items for a couple of nonprofits that Talking Lead supports. I've got a local baseball team that I support, travel team. They've been very good about donating some items that we're going to raise some money for those kids so they can have an awesome travel team this year. And then, of course, Sheepdog Impact Assistance, sheepdogia.org, their annual gala charity ball is coming up this month, and Eagle Imports has helped with that. Ackless Defense has also donated some items. Palmetto State Armory has helped out with that. No Sweat, you guys heard them a couple of episodes back. No Sweat. Hatliners has donated some things to our baseball team. And I'm forgetting someone else. Who is it? No Sweat, Eagle. Oh, Right On. Of course, Right On has generously donated some optics for both those organizations that we're going to raise some awesome money for. So thank you guys for that. And if any of you lead heads want to get involved with Sheepdog Impact Assistance, go to sheepdogia.org and find out how you can take part. So that does it. Until next week, we're going to be bringing you more coverage of the 2018 SHOT Show from the official lead quarters at the Kel-Tec booth. Chad and I have many more interviews that we're going to be bringing you guys over the next few episodes. Probably be releasing those all the way up until just before NRA, Chad. We've got so many of them.
We did good. We were busy.
Yeah. And then next week, we're going to make a big announcement, or not next week, but next episode, we're going to make a big announcement having to do with the NRA and where we're going to be located. Who's going to be the official lead quarters at NRA?
Whoa. We'll have to figure that out.
That announcement is coming up next episode. And watch our social media. We'll be making announcements soon. Any parting words, gentlemen, to the Leadhead Brigade?
Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you guys. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Chad, for doing what you guys do, man. Like, it's good to have these discussions. Good to have a platform where, man, it's kind of raw and unfiltered, and it's not it's not a bunch of just baloney, man. Like, it's just so. No, thank you guys for doing it, and again, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, Leadheads, that wraps up another episode. Glad you guys tuned in, and make sure you go to our social media, go to iTunes, go to iHeartRadio, download, leave feedback. I'm also going to be giving away to one of you lucky Leadheads who have been giving us feedback on iTunes next week. So make sure you're listening to next episode. I'm going to announce a winner of some awesome swag from the Leadhead Closet to one of you lucky Leadheads that's been giving us some feedback on our podcasting stations as well. Oh, I've got to read this. So because you're on here, I'm just going to go ahead. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give this guy, announce the winner to our so on iTunes, and it's by O Flyer, OHFLIER. He said, "Great job with the continuing SHOT Show 2018 coverage. From your exclusive interview with George Kellgren, we learned some of the history and inspiration of the man whose innovative designs continue to influence the future direction of the firearms industry.
Who said that?
A true visionary without boundaries. Keep up the outstanding firearms and related content. Ohio 45 ACP."
Can you get a hold of that person?
I'm calling him out right now. So if you obviously you listen to the show, so if on iTunes you're OHFLIER or Ohio 45 ACP is how you signed it, you are the winner of the swag bag that I'm going to be giving you from the Talking Lead closet. So
he's also the winner of the swag package that I'm going to put together for him.
Awesome. So you're a double winner, guys. So get in touch with me at talkingled@gmail.com, and we'll get your info, and we're going to hook you up with some awesome swag. So that's how you do it, lead heads. You engage, you leave us feedback, you leave us comments on our social media, on our podcasting platforms, and I randomly go through there and I pick winners from time to time. So 2 winners this episode already. Next episode, we're going to announce 2 more winners. Very cool. Chad, thanks for doing that, brother.
Yeah, of course.
So, guys, we are out of here until next week. As always, lead heads, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer.
And keep your GAC piece closer with the extendo clips.
Your what? GAC?
Your GAT piece.
GAP?
GAT. Yo, GAT piece.
GAT piece. Everybody enjoy your gun rights. Get in touch with your legislators and be a buzz in their ear.
That's right.
We is out.